Good morning, everyone. If you're new here, my name is Brian Craig. You'll love this program, I promise you. We're on a bunch of radio stations here in Florida. This is the longest running radio show in Florida. We talk about all the news, topics, and issues in the news. And we take calls from our radio listeners on the issues. And you guys on YouTube, you can call in too on all these issues. Here we go. It's our top of the hour break. We'll be on in just a minute.
FLA 3782. That's 1-855 FLA 3782. Tell them Steve sent you.
Listening to South Florida's longest running radio show, The Steve Kane Show. To call the show toll free, dial 1-888-GO-KANE 1. That's 1-888-GO-KANE 1. And now.
Hey guys, good morning. Yes. My name is Brian Craig. You are listening to Florida's longest running radio show, The Steve Kane Show, on the radio since 1977. It's Tuesday morning, April 6th, 2021, 5 minutes after 6 o'clock in the morning. And man, there have been some huge bombshells since we last spoke involving Matt Gaetz, who's about to be totally cleared. That doesn't mean the swamp aren't still coming after him, but some big stuff on Gaetz, and of course, which I was very right about last week when we first talked about this about a week ago. Well, a little less than a week, but almost a week. And of course, Ron DeSantis just coming out, having even Democrats defending Ron DeSantis against the slanders of CBS News' 60 Minutes and a whole bunch more, and a huge change with the Supreme Court yesterday involving social media. There's so much to talk about. I mean, I'm going to start in just a moment with this Matt Gaetz story, but I want to say something first. You know, those of you that listen to this program, I must tell you, you're a little spoiled. That's okay. But sometimes we got to remind you how spoiled you are. I got to the radio station a little earlier than I normally do. For no particular reason. I just left a little earlier today. I wasn't paying attention to the time, actually. I thought it was later when I left the house. But anyway, I'm here. And I got here, and the producer over at the radio station control room, I heard was having a bit of an argument with a disgruntled listener who was giving him some grief about me and something that they think I did, being very accusatory towards me on the show yesterday. Here's the thing, and this is what I'm talking about. You guys are spoiled. This program, we do something that no other radio show does. And we do this by choice. We do not have to do this. We take calls screenless for 3 hours a day, 6 until 9 a.m., Monday through Friday. We take calls live on the air and screenless. Now, sometimes if you're watching on YouTube, you'll see me answering the phones. The only reason I answer the phones is because we do have sponsors who call in and do call-in commercials, and when it's around about that time, I'll try to know they're there first. But even if I answer the phone, I never really ask people anything. We take calls screenless. In fact, what we literally do is screen them on the air. We don't have to do this. We do not have to do this. Rich Allen, he's over in the control room at the radio station, down the hall and around the corner and to the right and all this stuff. The whole floor of this building is the radio station. We've got this whole floor. And we have 4 studios in this building, and 2 of them are over at the control room at the radio station. And if we wanted to, we can use any of the studios we like. I like this one. That's why I like to stand up, and there's some things about it I like. But if we wanted to screen calls, we could. Rich Allen could answer the phones for us over at the radio station before they go on the air. But I don't like to do that, and it's not something that I started doing. When I first started on the air, I was working at the old 1400 WFTL doing a talk show. Rich Allen was there with us. Steve Kane was there. Al Rantel, Rick Siderman, Joyce Kaufman, all the greats. I should say all the greats and Joyce Kaufman. And that station they didn't want to pay anybody money. They paid 3 people money: Steve Kane, Al Rentel, and Craig Worthing, the great Craig Worthing. And everybody else was given peanuts. And I did an overnight show, and they wouldn't pay a board op to run the board. So I had to run the board and take the calls. This is when I was first starting out doing this. And that was okay. That was okay. And I kind of got used to it. And I kept it that way. So this disgruntled listener who's got all this stuff to say, and they're giving Rich over there a hard time and leaving phone numbers. I'm not calling you back. I'm here 3 hours a day. We take the calls live on the air. They're screenless. You have access to me and Steve Kane like you have to no one else on the radio by our choice and design. So if you have a beef with us, that's cool. That's what talk radio is about, right? We don't want to sit here and not have people have an issue with us. But if you got a beef with us, pick up your phone and call us during the show. We'll talk to you on the air. My goodness, that's what I mean you spoil. You guys calling when they're not here and venting. Give me a break. Cowards. Cowards. And, taking calls screenless and live like we do is, it's a risky proposition. You never know who's on the line. You don't know what they're going to say. Sometimes they'll say things they can't say on the air, so we'll have to end the call or hit a dump button or something. That's cool. But I think it makes the show more exciting for you as listeners because you don't know what's coming. No one else does this. A lot of people claim to do it. No one else does this. That's right. That's right. No one. I've heard so many people say they take calls screenless. Then who's answering the phones for them? If I were doing a national show, like if I was filling in on the Rush Limbaugh program, I would try to let them allow me to take calls screenless. And it makes it more interesting, I think, for you as listeners because at any moment in time, I could step in a bear trap and be done, right? I could be so humiliated. And it makes it more interesting for me, too, because I don't know what's going on. And the way they do it at every other radio show. On every other radio show, they have the call screener, and they'll... if you ever call other shows, it's like you got to fill out a form almost, a verbal form. They ask all kinds of questions. And they have a screen that shows the host who's on hold. It tells you their name, where they're calling from, and what they want to talk about. Well, with that much information right there, you've got in your mind where you're going to go. I don't know where I'm going to go with any caller because I don't know what they're going to say until they say it on the air. I don't know if they're white. I don't know if they're black. I don't know if they're Hispanic. I don't know if they're lib. I don't know if they're conservative. I don't know till they're on the air. And whatever happens, happens. Okay? So, if you got a beef, don't call when we're not here. Call when we're live from 6 until 9 a.m., 3 hours a day, 5 days a week, right here. Our number's toll-free. And let's hear it. 1-888-GO-KANE-1. 888-465-2631. And if you think I'm talking to you, I probably am. Oh my goodness. I tell you. Cowards. All right, well, hey, listen, welcome. One last thing of just self-indulgence here. I found out yesterday something that was pretty exciting. I do 2 shows a day, right? Here, the Steve Kane Show. I'm here every day with Steve Kane. And then I have my podcast, the Brian Craig Show podcast that I do with my wife. A list has recently come out of the, and I did put this on my Twitter so you guys can read and verify. Let me get what the list says, because this was absolutely amazing to me. This really made me feel good this morning. Don't get a lot of good feelings, you know how this... You know how things work. Let me make sure I get this right, because I don't want. While I'm doing self-promotion, I don't want to get it wrong. There is a list of the top. Just came out. The top 30 conservative political podcast that you must follow in 2021. And this came out on the 1st of this month, April 1st. Not April Fool's Day joke, but no. The top 30 conservative political podcast you must follow in 2021. Number 1, the Mark Levin podcast, which is a replay of his radio show. Number 1 is Mark Levin. Number 2 is someone from Glenn Beck's The Blaze. So that's Glenn Beck and The Blaze. Number 3, shocker, the Brian Craig Show podcast is number 3. And there's some big people on this list. Town Hall, Candace Owen, all them. They're way down. I'm number 3. Top 30 conservative political podcast you must follow in 2021. Woohoo! Yay! I'm all excited. I know that kind of blew my mind. Yeah, so I did tweet that. You know, someone. Hey, listen. It's okay to toot your own horn sometimes, especially when others aren't doing it. But all of you guys that support this program, the Steve Kane Show over the years, and also support my podcast that I do with my wife Kathy, the Brian Craig Show podcast. Thank you so much for your support. That's really an amazing. I was shocked when I saw that today because there's some heavy hitters on that list. I mean, you got Mark Levin, then you got Glenn Beck's operation, then you got little old me. That made me feel really good. That's right. And in this kind of business, you don't get a lot of good feelings. Now, Matt Gaetz. What's going on with Matt Gaetz? And they're doing it with Ron DeSantis too, is outrageous. Here's the deal. Okay? Ron DeSantis and Matt Gaetz, so far as political office holders that currently hold office, Matt Gaetz and Ron DeSantis are the 2 top Trump-supported MAGA elected officials. I know there's others like Jim Jordan and others, but Matt Gaetz and Ron DeSantis, in my opinion, are the top 2. Now, maybe that's because I'm in Florida and they're Florida guys. I don't know, but I think on a national level, I think out of the entire United States, Matt Gaetz and Governor Ron DeSantis are the 2 top MAGA, Trump-supporting and supported by President Trump, MAGA people that hold office today. I really believe that. Either one of them could be president one day. And maybe they both will. And that's why they're going after them. I told you last week that they're going after MAGA. They're going after Matt Gaetz because he's the most beloved MAGA member of Congress. And I'm talking about both houses. You know, we're almost a week since this went public. I think it went public, was it Wednesday that Matt Gaetz was on Tucker? On that weird day of news. It was either Wednesday or Thursday last week. I think it was Wednesday, but it was Wednesday or Thursday when all that went down. So we're almost a week into this story being public. Where is this girl that they keep talking about? Matt Gaetz said on Tucker Carlson last week, this 17-year-old girl they accuse him of sex trafficking doesn't exist. Now, this was a couple years ago, they said, so that 17-year-old girl, there is no reason to conceal her identity because today she's like 19 or 20. Okay? So she's over age now. Almost a weekend since this story went public, almost a week. Where is this girl? Now, where are any other women that he's sex trafficked? Where are the leaks of him paying hookers with Apple Pay? What? Who pays hookers with Apple Pay? Who was using Apple Pay in 2017? I looked up, Apple Pay came around like in 2014, and Wozniak was like the only guy that had it, right? I mean, come on. And who was accepting Apple Pay in 2017? Not a lot of people. I use Apple Pay as much as possible, but it wasn't very common until last year, quite frankly. You couldn't use it in a lot of places. But where are the leaks of evidence? There was a bombshell yesterday in the Matt Gaetz story that tells you everything you need to know and who's behind this. I'm going to take our first break of the day. I'll get into that when we get back. My name is Brian Craig. You are listening to the Steve Kane Radio Show. Florida's longest-running radio show, on the radio since 1977. Our number is toll-free, 1-888-GO-CANE-1. 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. It's 18 minutes after 6. It's Tuesday morning. We'll take our first break of the day, come back, and I'll share with you this bombshell revelation that tells you who's really behind this Matt Gaetz garbage. And we'll take calls as well. Don't you go anywhere. We'll be back right after this.
Brian Craig here. I've been telling you for years how great
Steve Kane Show.
pillow products are, but don't just take
Hold
my
on.
word
Steve
for
Kane
it.
Show,
This
hold
is
on.
One of our listeners, Tom, bought the My Pillow mattress topper, and he called us live on the radio to tell us about his experience with the My Pillow mattress topper.
Yeah, I'm calling to get testimonials about my pillow topper.
You ordered the My Pillow, the mattress topper?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Well, I was thinking about buying a new mattress. My old mattress was getting old, so my wife's like, "Why don't you try that pillow, that mattress topper?" So I went on.
Welcome, everyone. Make sure you're subscribed. And everybody in the chat, give me a thumbs up. That helps a lot. A thumbs up and share on at least one of your social media pages.
Feels like a whole new mattress.
I talked to other listeners.
Yeah, I know. Isn't that amazing?
Mattress topper, and they come in all sizes. The mattress companies have turned into con artists. When I was a kid, mattresses were two-sided. You'd have the mattress, then after a while you'd flip it over. Now you can't flip mattresses anymore. They don't make them that way anymore because people weren't buying mattresses enough. So the mattress company stopped making two-sided mattresses, and mattresses are expensive. I've had to buy a new mattress, and mattresses can cost well over, just for a regular normal mattress, over $1,000. So that My Pillow mattress topper is a big savings. It saves you from buying a new mattress and turn your whole bed into a My Pillow.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I really love it. I sleep really good.
Well, that's great. Well, I appreciate that. And you guys out there, remember, promo code KANE, K-A-N-E. Now, when you use the promo code KANE, K-A-N-E, at MyPillow.com, save 30% off your My Pillow mattress topper. And receive 2 free My Pillows. But you got to use the promo code KANE, K-A-N-E. 30% off the My Pillow mattress topper. Turn your old mattress into a big My Pillow mattress. Promo code KANE, K-A-N-E, at MyPillow.com.
Listen to the Steve Kane Show on iHeartRadio. Just search for W.
All right. Welcome, everyone. 21 minutes after the hour. I'm Brian. This is the Steve Kane Show. You know, that My Pillow mattress topper, an incredible deal. Plus, you get the 2 My Pillows, and just a 30% off. You get those My Pillows for free with the mattress topper. If your mom is out of town, you know, when you order the My Pillow mattress topper using the promo code KANE, of course, K-A-N-E, at MyPillow.com, you can have it sent directly to your mom's house. You know that, right? Yeah, a lot of people do that. So take advantage of that. Okay, now if you're on hold, stand by. This is an unbelievable story, totally clearing Matt Gaetz. This is in the National Pulse, online at thenationalpulse.com, but it was reported in many other news sources yesterday. Revealed FBI took tip from journalist before visiting Matt Gaetz's wheelchair-bound veteran ex-staffer to discuss this fabricated story. This is amazing. A former staffer for Congressman Matt Gaetz held a press conference. Now remember, last week there was a story, a staffer has left over the allegations. It's falling apart for Matt Gaetz. No, not true, and this is the staffer that left. A former staffer for Representative Matt Gaetz held a press conference to diminish media rumors, which resulted in a visit with the FBI investigators that he was aware of allegations the Florida congressman engaged in illegal activity. His name is Nathan Nelson. He had a press conference yesterday right here in Florida. He said this, quote, "Nothing could be further from the truth. Neither I nor any member of his," that's Gaetz, "staff had knowledge of illegal activities. Despite members of the media contacting him to claim his departure from the office was linked to Gaetz's federal investigation, Nelson insisted the idea was baseless, adding he had planned to leave his position before the investigation and extortion plot became public knowledge. These media rumors led 2 Federal Bureau of Investigation agents questioning him at his house over Gaetz's alleged involvement in illegal activities, which the sources spun was the reason that he resigned. Mr. Nelson said that because facts surrounding his departure were falsely reported, He believes the claims against Mr. Gaetz are also untrue. This was also reported in the Washington Times. This baseless claim against me leaves me further convinced that the allegations against Congressman Gaetz are likewise fabricated in an attempt to discredit a vocal conservative. So the media was the source of an FBI visit to this guy. And the story was being spun out there that he left over the allegations. None of this could be true. This is the media crafting a story right before our eyes. There's more stories, which I'm going to get to as the show goes on. Matt Gaetz is all but in the clear. They're doing to him, the media, what they tried to do to Ron DeSantis on 60 Minutes over the weekend. That's falling apart for them, too. All right, 1-888-GO-CANE-1. Good morning. You're on the radio.
Yeah, good morning, Brian.
Hey, Nick in Baltimore. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing fine. I wanted to congratulate you on that being a number 3 podcast. I wanted to say one thing, and then we get into the Matt Gaetz thing, and then I'll get off. But people don't realize you do production before the show, after the show, you do a podcast, which counts as production.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
In radio and television.
It's time consuming.
You're producing product, including commercials and a podcast with content. And there's a lot that goes into that, and people, it's just not being on the air 3 hours a day.
I wish it was. I wish it was. I wish it was.
I remember working 12-hour days as a jock, which was ridiculous, but that's how much production we did.
Yeah, I have a, I do the radio show I do here at the radio station, but I have a studio at home, which is an extra bedroom that we converted, and I have a studio with very nice studio equipment. In fact, if you go to my YouTube channel, I do have a video up there that gives a tour of my podcast studio at home, and I have I have better audio production equipment and software than they have here at the radio station. So so I do production all day long at home, and the podcast. The way my podcast works, my wife and I, we record the podcast, obviously, and then I have to edit in all the commercials and rejoiners and everything on the podcast. That takes time. Then upload it on the gazillion platforms I'm on. Then I got to make a thumbnail for, the YouTube, and then you got to do. There's a lot of work. The YouTube part of the radio show. Just to get the YouTube up, I got to make a thumbnail, and there's a lot of, you got to put in keywords and everything. It takes about half an hour just to get the YouTube thing ready for the radio show every morning, and about the same for the podcast on top of it. It's a lot. It's very time consuming. I'm not complaining. There's worse things to do, and I love what I do, and I'm very excited to, I have a great life and a great career and everything. I'm not complaining, but a lot goes into it. People have no idea.
A lot goes into it. You guys, Kathy, you do
the break is when the talking, like on the air. That's the easy part.
Oh yeah, but you guys do an excellent podcast.
I appreciate it. I was shocked. I mean, this list of the top podcasts that are must add to your playlist in 2021. I'm 3. You got. Mark Levin's number 1. I mean, Savage isn't even. I'm ahead of Savage. Number 2 is for The Blaze. I mean, my goodness.
The dust there.
I guess so. I mean, I guess to each his own. I mean, I'm not bragging or anything, but who else is going to tell you guys about it if I don't? I got to tell you.
the Matt Gaetz thing. That whole thing is phony. Before you came on the air, I was flipping through the TV channels here, and part of the PBS outlet here, they have a sub-channel that they do NHK, BBC, and all that stuff. And they're running with that story. And it's false. The 60 Minutes interview is a disaster. That's being
Georgia Peach, $20 super sticker. Thank you. Everyone thank Georgia Peach, $20 super sticker.
The interview was edited heavily. So the whole thing, the media...
Well, I was talking about this on my podcast last night. What happened with 60 Minutes is before, they didn't go out and investigate and do a story. They came to a conclusion. They accused Governor Ron DeSantis of taking a bribe from Publix for this vaccination site location. And they went out and put together video to fit their conclusion. They had the conclusion first, and then they went out and found information and did editing in a way to fit their conclusion. And they got exposed because, that was, I was hoping that came out yesterday. Ron DeSantis, it came out, the whole exchange between him and 60 Minutes. Publix was like 4th, 5th, 6th, I don't know. There were other places before Publix that were private that had the vaccination. And also, I saw on Weasel Zippers this morning that Publix donated even more money than they did to DeSantis's group to Biden. So, and CBS was there. Listen, Florida used to be a swing state. This state went for Clinton, Bill Clinton. This state went for Obama. And the Democrats are trying to turn Florida back blue. And they're doing that by trying to take down our two most prominent vocal frontmen in the Florida Republican Party and the MAGA movement. Both are up for re-election, of course. Gaetz every 2 years, and Governor DeSantis is up for re-election this time around. So they're out there trying, and they're Trump loyalists, both backed and supported and loved by President Trump, and they support him. They're trying to take him down. I mean, that's just the way it is. And I think a week into this, if what they said about Matt Gaetz was true, I think we would have seen the girl by now.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's the whole thing is, and then the FBI is involved. Come on.
Yeah.
The other wing of the Democrat Party.
Mm-hmm. Well, Nick, I appreciate the call and the kudos. Take care, all right? Okay, we're going to take our break for the bottom of the hour. If you're on hold, don't go anywhere. I'm Brian Craig. This is the Steve Kane Radio Show. Florida's longest-running radio show on the radio since 1977. We'll take that break here at the bottom and be right back with your calls. And got more stuff to share with you on Gaetz and all the rest. We'll be right back.
This is Steve Kane for attorney Barry Siegel. Barry did a great job for me and my family when we needed a revocable living.
Yeah, Georgia
trust.
Peach,
Listen
thank
to
you,
one of our
thank you.
listeners, Ray, talk about his experience with Barry Siegel.
I want to praise Barry Siegel. And one of the most important things about sponsors is integrity. You have to know that you're dealing with an honest person. I had to go up to Myrtle Beach with my sister because her husband died, and I was helping her out. She had a trust and everything. She had not revised this trust since 1997. And Barry says every 3 years at least you got to... I called Barry's office because I had a question. I let the secretary know. I said, look, I'm calling from South Carolina. I know the laws are different, and I'm just asking for information for my sister. Now, most people just blow you off, right? Almost immediately, within a few minutes, Barry himself called...
I'm going to take another call, maybe two, and then I'm going to go through... Matt Gaetz wrote a column on his situation. I'm going to read through that. I haven't read it yet, just the headline. So, and that's where my thumbnail comes from. I haven't read it because I want to hear what he says and experience it with you guys live.
You're getting a fair shake.
Do what Ray did. Call attorney Barry Siegel right now. Toll free 1-855-FLA-3782. That's 1-855 toll free FLA-3782. Tell him Steve sent you.
Have you ever picked up a towel set because it felt really soft in the store, but when you go to use it, it's not very absorbent? It's basically a towel that's leaving you out to dry. Michael Lindell, Trump supporter and inventor of MyPillow, has developed a towel that actually works. Towels that actually dry you. MyPillow is debuting the MyPillow 6-piece towel set that includes 2 bath towels, 2 hand-piece set off MyPillow towels. Just go to MyPillow.com, click the radio listener special, and enter the promo code KANE, K-A-N-E, at checkout, or call them directly. 1-800-716-4879. 1-800-716.
We're coming back. Make sure everybody you like the video.
Promo code KANE. Kane.
Listen to the Steve Kane Show on iHeartRadio. Just search for WW.
All right, guys, welcome back. 33 minutes after the hour. My name is Brian Craig. This is the Steve Kane Radio Show, Florida's longest-running radio show. Matt Gaetz spoke out. He wrote a column on his situation. I'm going to take a call, at least one, maybe two, and then I'm going to go through this column that Matt Gaetz wrote. I've only read the headline. I have no idea what the column says. I've not read it in advance. I saw it a couple hours ago, but I wanted to read it live with you guys and experience it with you. I doubt it's a confession, or that would be a headline all over the news. But I'll go through. We'll find out what Matt Gaetz says about his current situation. Good morning. You're on the radio.
Good morning. How you doing?
All right. What's your name?
My name is Maria. I'm from Florida.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm pretty good. I am fired up. I heard this story over the weekend, and I can tell you right now, Mike Gaetz and Ron DeSantis have been attacked because they know they're strong, they stand up to the lies, and they will defeat them. But it would take all of us to stand strong with them and fight this battle that we are going through. We are Republicans, and we have to fight these enemies. But I have to say this one important thing to you. I love your show. I listen to it on YouTube all the time.
Here comes a but. There's a but.
But
I told you.
Joe Biden in the White House,
yeah. Well, you know, what the thing with Joe Biden that, you know, a lot of people don't remember Joe Biden when he was fit. You know, he was a nasty man when he was younger. He was nasty. And, you know, a lot of people used to see Joe Biden a lot. He had the most ridiculous hair transplants that looked like doll hair. You know, he had these hair plugs. Rush used to call him Plugs Biden because he had that those doll hair things, which I don't think they do anymore. Now they got those micro mini. Well, most guys just shave their head and go Mr. Clean these days. But anyway, you know, you see sometimes members of the Senate, it's usually Schumer now, they come out like in a hallway and have a press conference about whatever's going on today. That Biden was always the leader of that, and he was always vocal, loud, yelling, and just nasty and accusatory. He was never a nice man. But I still feel sorry for the guy because I believe that his very strange wife, who was dressed like, what was those stockings she was wearing? It looked like, somebody said she looked like Madonna's grandmother, you know, walking out there. His wife, I believe, is abusing him. I believe Joe Biden is a victim of elder abuse.
Yeah, I believe so too, but we have to understand, this guy, I read a story about Joe Biden years ago when he was in the vice president. Even before then, I read it for him years ago because my mom, well, she passed, she used to talk about how good the Democrat was, but she would always tell me, that guy there is bad news for the Democrat, and I was like, Mom, really? I never used to like comment on it because I never was really, back then, I voted for Clinton one time.
Yeah.
After I seen what he did, I didn't want to be a part of the Democrat Party. So I've been changing my party since years ago. And that's when I was really young. But the Democrat Party, I just don't understand why my kind, anybody, will vote for them because they are about destroying America and any living creature on this.
Well, most people that, I'm not talking about the politicians, they're all corrupt that are in it for money, okay? I'm talking about regular voters. Most people that vote Democrat, just regular people like you and me, but they vote Democrat, most of them because they have a perception of the two political parties that's just wrong. They don't understand what we understand. The Democrat Party is a lot of terrible things, and they think the Republican Party is the party of rich people, you know, and big business. The Republican Party is the party of the abolitionist movement that freed the slaves. The Republican Party is the party that fought with success to give women the right to vote. The Republican Party, you know, is the party of freedom and liberty, not the Democrat. But the Democrat Party is the party of the slave owners. They were all Democrats. They are the party of Jim Crow. They are the party of segregation. They discriminate against Asians at the university, saying there's too many Asians in the Ivy Leagues. You know, so you know if you look at every, you know, liberals have all these things that America should apologize for, that are stains on our society, they say, in our country. Every single one of them was brought to you by a Democrat. Every one of them. You know, and so most people out there really don't understand what the Democrats are all about or what the Republicans are all about. And the reason is because the left control the media and the education system, so Democrat voters are brainwashed.
Right, and just like this point I want to say to you, I was raised up, my whole family is just about is Democrats, okay? And I was raised up knowing that every Republican is racist. I grew up in that. I grew up in racist. I refuse to, and it's been ever since I was like, when I turned 10 years old, I decided that I was not going to be that person, that evil, to believe racist is everything surrounding this earth. No, we do have problems, but racism is not one of them. We have identity problems, and people don't get that, and that's why I refuse to let myself be used by anybody. Something that, and I am a Christian, and I will not play.
Well, listen, Rosa Parks, Frederick Douglass, they were Republicans. They were Republicans. Women, they were just celebrating the 100th anniversary of women getting the right to vote, right? Remember, this was a big thing. It should be. The Democrat president at the time, Woodrow Wilson, the Democrats opposed women getting the vote. The suffragettes were all Republicans, except maybe one or two. That was a Republican movement to give women the right to vote. The Republican Party has been the party that has been the party of freedom and liberty in this country through its entire existence. And people have this idea. Now, part of it is, with certain groups, there's, I'm a broad brush, like a lot of gays vote Democrat. Because, back in the 80s and 90s, there were a lot of Republicans who were, the Christian coalition who, it's Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve, and a lot of anti-gayness in some conservative circles. That's over. President Trump, when he was running in 2016, said that Caitlyn Jenner could use the ladies' room at Trump Tower. And you know what? Caitlyn Jenner went over there, made a recording of going to Trump Tower and peeing in the ladies' room, and no one stopped him, no one cared. So, the Republican Party has changed on that issue even. It's no longer this we have a lot of gays in the Republican Party because of President Trump.
Yeah. Because, you don't want to be the type of person to discriminate against somebody because of what they partners is or what difference they are. And that's why I always believe I try to keep the faith, and I try to tell my children that when I was raising them, now they grown, but when I was raising them, that.
Well, you're a black woman in the Deep South. I'm in Florida. You're in what part of Florida are you in?
I'm in Broward County.
Oh, you're in Broward County. Okay, that's kind of where I grew up. Went to high school in Broward County and everything. How old were you? How old are you?
I'm 49.
Oh, 40. You and I are the exact same age. Where'd you go to high school?
I went to Dillard High School.
Dillard. Oh, okay. I went to the other black school. I went to Stranahan. Okay, but yeah. So we grew up. You went to Dillard, and I went to Stranahan. Both black high school. I was the minority in my high school. No doubt about that. Oh yeah, that's okay. You learned a lot. Learned to keep my head down, look at the floor a lot, walking around. But But here's the thing. Okay, there was a time here in South Florida when it was illegal for black and white people to marry. Those were Democrat laws. One of the last I wrote a paper on this in college. One of the last lynchings in America took place in Broward County. The Democrat Broward County sheriff lynched a guy named Reuben Stacy. It's one of the last lynchings in the South. Everything the Democrats have always done is racist, discriminatory, bigoted, intolerant, and they'll always be that way. One of the reasons that they support quotas on all these different things is because they think everyone's as bigoted as they are.
They really believe that, and especially with my kind, they do believe that blacks owe them so much, and they the king to blacks. And I tell people, I tell some people that I know, especially in my church, because I have a lot of them in my church that's heavily Democrat. They cannot stand Republicans. And I just look at them and I say, only if you knew the truth. And a couple of ladies that said in my church, I told them the truth. And they was like, really, you're so quiet. I said, why I keep quiet? Because I'm not going to
Well, it's an interesting thing about the black community. The black community is a very strong church community, right? Go out on Sunday morning to a restaurant. You see all the ladies all dressed up, and the black community don't realize how conservative they are. Look at how conservative they are because, they're church-going people and agree with conservatives on most every social issue. When you were in high school at Dillard, did you go to like any of the football games, the homecoming games and all that stuff? Yeah, that means you and I were at high school football games together then. I used to go to all those. I used to hate because Dillard used to cream us. But I remember we used to play Dillard at their homecoming. I used to go to those games. Yeah, so it's amazing. Here we are. We used to go to high school football games together. We didn't know it, and here we are now. Crazy.
Exactly.
It's crazy.
Dearly love President Trump.
Oh, yeah.
President.
Well, see, that's why they hate him. I remember when there was a time talking to a black Republican was so rare. It was like you were an anthropologist and you found, some missing link of person, some new species, a black Republican. Let's talk to you for 6 hours. This is amazing. And now it's common. It's common. And that happened when Trump came down the escalator. There was a big transformation among blacks coming to the Republican Party because of Donald Trump. And that's why right now there's so much racial problems in this country. The left-wing media and the Democrats are stirring up racial issues, trying to get blacks to come back home to the Democrat plantation.
That's exactly what it is. That is exactly. And this is why I did not vote. Last time I voted, before I voted for Trump, last time I voted was back in 1996. I think it was 1991 when I voted for Bill Clinton or whatever that time was. A busy life then. And I think that was my last time voting. And President Trump came along. I was going to vote for John McCain, but he turned me off. And what turned me off about him? The lies.
Yeah, he was not a nice man. I'll say this though. It's really amazing this transformation. Martin Luther King was a Republican, and I'll tell you a quick story because this is very important about Martin Luther King. He switched to the Democrat Party. What happened? It was during the 1960 presidential election. Martin Luther King was involved in some issue in Georgia. He was a Republican, and the local Democrat sheriff grabbed him and took him out and put him in the county jail out in the middle of nowhere. Now, this was before cell phones and Twitter and all that stuff, and it's 1960. A Democrat has Martin Luther King, and Martin Luther King's wife was afraid they were going to lynch Martin Luther King. And this is before, he was well known, but he wasn't as big as he became later, but he was still well known. It was after the Montgomery bus boycott and all that. And his wife got Vice President Nixon on the phone to try to get this sheriff to let Martin Luther King out of jail. Well, Nixon was a Republican. This sheriff wasn't going to listen to Nixon. So he got Martin Luther King's wife got Bobby Kennedy on the phone. And Bobby Kennedy got John F. Kennedy to call the sheriff and let him out of jail under the condition that Martin Luther King come out and endorse him for president. And Martin Luther King, who was about to be lynched, they let him out, and right out in front of the jail, with all this lynch mob, Democrats behind him, endorsed Kennedy to save his own skin that day. And that's when blacks started voting Democrat. And it was a sad thing. And that little story people don't know. And I'll tell you, John F. Kennedy got him out of that jail only to get the endorsement. He didn't give a damn. In fact, John F. Kennedy's staff didn't want him to get involved. And Bobby Kennedy said, we'll get the endorsement of Martin Luther King and get the black vote that we need. If we do this, and that's the only reason they did it. So Martin Luther King was a Republican. Okay, as was Rosa Parks and all the rest. All right, take care. Appreciate the call. Okay. All right, take care. All right, listen, we'll take our last break of the first hour. I'm Brian Craig. This is the Steve Kane Radio Show, Florida's longest-running radio show. We'll be right back.
Hi, my name is Tom Laporta. the owner of Laporta Contracting, Roofing and Restoration. We have been in the roofing and construction industry since 1982. We are state of Florida certified roofing and general contractors, focusing on residential and commercial roofing, impact windows, and building restoration. If you have noticed any water stains on your ceiling, or if your roof is older than 15 years, you will want to call us to come out and evaluate your roof.
Congratulations for the third on the list.
I mean, I was in shock. And it's
just as a point of curiosity, because his place in history is coming up. Where did Bongino show up?
Oh. And by the way, if you Google top conservative podcast, this list is the second list that comes up. I couldn't believe. I really didn't look that far.
Is ready for the 2021 hurricane season. So don't delay and call us at 954-604-4602 for a free home inspection and estimate. Our website is www.laportacontracting.com, where you will find our latest video and live testimonials from a few of our past clients. Our number again,
he's not on it.
954-604.
I was amazed. I was amazed. Shocked me. Ah, damn it.
Got you covered. AM 1470, FM 95.3, 96.9. South Florida's FM Money Talk Radio Network. WWNN, Pompano Beach.
Where is that?
That's fantastic, and I was a bit surprised that you started the show with our conversation.
I'll let him call in. I'll let the guy call in. I don't care. If you call in, I'll talk to him. On Friday, when we're not here, I'm going to need you to run the Christian Knuckles spot at the tops of the hours, if you can. Can you drop that in?
It have to be spliced in.
Oh.
Yeah, as long as I know, and I haven't pressed you on it because you just told me, and you don't know what the week's going to be, so you don't know how the shows are going to go. Which show you're going to...
I'm going to probably have him do, not this past Friday, but the 2 Fridays ago.
Okay.
It has to be kind of recent because the spots are out of date. Something came up. It's not 100% we're going to be off, but it's about 90%. I'll know in the middle of the week, but I want to get
to... How long is that knuckle spot?
Friday's the last day.
How long is it?
Friday's the last
2
day.
minutes?
Yeah. All right, welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian. You're listening to Florida's longest-running radio show, the Steve Kane Show, on the radio since 1977. Funny thing is, about that last caller from Dillard High School. Back in high school, she probably wouldn't have had anything to do with me. You know what I mean? And there was a guy that I met a couple years ago as a listener to the show. We went to high school together. He never would talk to me in high school. Now he's a big listener to the show. So anyway, I guess I'm cool now. All right, now let's get to this. Matt Gaetz he wrote a column talking about his situation, which I've not read this article. I've only read the headline, and I did see one quote in it that the swamp is trying to drown me, Matt Gaetz said yesterday. And I'm going to read this article that was written by Matt Gaetz. I'm going to read it cold with you and process it with you. I have no idea what he wrote in here, and we'll talk about it. This is in the Washington Examiner, WashingtonExaminer.com, which is a conservative newspaper. Washington scam. This is Matt Gaetz's column here. Representative Matt Gaetz, the swamp is out to drown me with false charges, but I'm not giving up. That's right. That's the headline. Matt Gaetz writes, Washington scandal cycles are predictable, and sex is especially potent in politics. Let me first remind everyone that I am a representative in Congress, not a monk, and certainly not a criminal. That means he's a single guy who's rich and famous, so he's, having a good time. Nancy Pelosi once defended President Clinton after he got an intern to fellatiate him in the Oval Office. I've never heard the word used in such a context. But when it comes to the allegation that I, a grown man, paid for an adult girlfriend's expenses, well, consider that a bridge too far for the power-hungry hypocrites. I want to be clear about something as we process the leaks and lies from the past week. To this point, there are exactly 0 credible or even non-credible accusers willing to come forward by name and state on the public record that I behaved improperly toward them in the manner by which Democratic Governor Andrew Cuomo has 10 accusers, writes Matt Gaetz. Instead, CNN, the New York Times, Politico, and others are just repeating false allegations about a congressman who loathes the swamp and fights both sides of it on a daily basis. That means the rhinos. Liz Cheney. Excuse me, guys. Sorry about that. Just as they once falsely attacked President Donald Trump as a Russian asset, just as Brett Kavanaugh as a gang rapist, and even John McCain as having fathered a child out of wedlock, they now attack me. Of course, none of what they say ever amounts to anything, yet it is endlessly repeated by leftist television anchors such as Chris Cuomo, who uses his platform to cover for his brother's appalling subjection of nursing home patients to death by the coronavirus. They think themselves such wonderful arbiters of moral purpose. Folks won't be surprised that bizarre claims are being made about me shortly after I decided to take on the most powerful institutions in the Beltway, the establishment, the FBI, the Biden Justice Department, the Cheney political dynasty, even the Justice Department under Trump. Matt Gaetz is a darn good writer, don't you? This is a great column he wrote here. Yes, just like the mafia, the D.C. swamp protects its made men. Since I'm taking my turn under the gun, let me address the allegations against me directly. First, I have never ever paid for sex. And second, I, as an adult man, have not slept with a 17-year-old. Oh, that's interesting. That means it's a 17-year-old. I guess he did. Predictably, the anti-Trump cheerleaders, such as Meghan McCain. Isn't Meghan McCain's godfather Biden? Predictably, the anti-Trump cheerleaders such as Meghan McCain, Bill Kristol, and sadly, some of my feckless colleagues in Congress are going to call for me to resign. This is how D.C. works, Matt Gaetz writes. The guilty and wrong point fingers at the innocent and right. Remember President Joe Biden's Ukraine scandal? Or the Lincoln Project's professions of moral superiority? Their scorn and moral posturing is all merely projection. And no, I am absolutely not resigning, says Matt Gaetz. See, I stuck with Matt Gaetz on day one. I'm not playing both sides of the fence here. If this guy is not telling the truth, Matt Gaetz, he's crazed because they'll come after him today. But you know what? This came out yesterday. If they don't produce something today, they got nothing. By the way, they got nothing on Trump's taxes. They've had them for, 1 or 2 months? Nothing's leaked out. The Washington Post recently accused me of stating that I'm really enjoying my current embrace of monogamy. That is the truest thing they've ever written about me. I am a better man today than I was years ago. Heck, I hope to be a better man than I was yesterday every day of my life. My lifestyle of yesteryear may be different from how I live now, but it was not and is not illegal. I defended Representative Katie Hill's trouble when her own Democratic colleagues would not. I just didn't think it was anyone's business. It comes as no surprise that my political opponents want to sensationalize and criminalize my prior sex life, just as I am getting engaged to the best person I've ever known. It is regrettable that the battle of ideas should thus become so personal. But then again, when your ideas suck, you need to stoop this low. My personal life is, and always has been, conducted on my own time and my own dime. Consensual adult relationships are not illegal, although I'm sure some partisan crooks in Merrick Garland's Justice Department want to pervert the truth and the law to go after me. I will not be intimidated or extorted. The battle for America's future demands gladiators, and I'm going to keep getting back up and fighting every single day. The Biden Justice Department would rather investigate me for adult consensual sex than Hunter Biden for his shady business dealings, than others for illegal leaks, or a former Justice Department official for the evident extortion of a congressman. Go figure. You'll see more drip, drip, drip of leaks into the media from the corrupt Justice Department and others when you do ask yourself why. They aren't coming for me, they are coming for you. I'm just in the way. As for me, I'm going to fight like hell for my constituents and the country I deeply love. You deserve no less, especially right now. That's Matt Gaetz' column in the Washington Examiner. And I'm so glad, people contacted me last week and over the weekend and said, you know, you shouldn't be standing with Matt Gaetz. You need to step back a little bit because more stuff's coming out. And I said, no, I'm standing with Matt Gaetz. They're going after MAGA. They're going after Gaetz. They're going after DeSantis in different ways, but they're going after him. I'm standing with Matt Gaetz. I stand with Matt Gaetz today, and I'll stand with him tomorrow and the next day and every day. Okay? Where's this girl? Where's this girl? He is begging them to produce this girl at this point, isn't he? Mm-hmm. All right. We're coming up on our top of the hour break. My name is Brian Craig. This is the Steve Kane Radio Show. Oh, man. Florida's longest running radio show on the radio since 1977. Our number is toll-free, 1-888-GO-KANE-1. 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. We'll be back with hour number 2 after this.
AM 1470, FM 95.3, 96.9. South Florida's FM Money Talk Radio Network. WWNN, Pompano Beach.
If you suffer
Be right back,
diabetes,
guys.
Did you know there's a 25% chance that you will develop a foot ulcer at some point in your life? And foot ulcers, when you have diabetes, can lead to severe health consequences up to and including amputation. Now, Medicare recognizes the importance of preventative foot care and has provided coverage for those of you who are at-risk patients. I want to introduce you to my good friends at the Soul Authority. At the Soul Authority, at little or no cost, you can receive your very own pair of therapeutic shoes made specially for diabetics. You're probably not aware, but as a diabetic Medicare recipient, you are entitled to one pair of high-quality diabetic shoes with 3 custom inserts per year. These are not the ugly Frankenstein shoes. These are name brand shoes. They're stylish. They'll provide you with the extra width and extra depth to stop diabetic foot problems before they begin. Oftentimes, amputation due to diabetes is preventable, and one of the preventable measures that is most effective is wearing the proper shoes. Call the Soul Authority at 954-597-7060 or online.
Oh, no, that was not a bathroom break. I had to go down the hall and talk to somebody.
Authority.com. Tell them Steve Kane sent you.
Brian Craig here. You've heard us talk about the great low prices Friendly Tire has on new tires and used tires. They also do tire repairs. Listen to one of our listeners talk about their experience at Friendly Tire in Margate.
Hey Brian, my name is Mike. Just wanted to call and say thank you. I had a problem with my car. I had a flat tire. It was going down really quick. I'm in Coral Springs. I had to go somewhere close by. They couldn't really fix it. So I remember you guys are talking about Friendly Mike at Friendly Tires. So I said, listen, Mike, I need a couple of tires. I told him my size. He goes, I got them. I go, I'll see you tomorrow. They were really cheap. I go over there, and Mike said, which tires do you want to replace? They look relatively new. I said, they are. I just got a big hole in that one. And they said they couldn't be fixed. He goes, pull your vehicle in. I pulled the vehicle in. He took the tire off. He pulled out the plug that the guy in Coral Springs put in there, and he shielded it. He kind of patched it or whatever they call it. I don't know what they call it. And he goes, you don't need any tires. He goes, I fixed that one. Give me $20. But the guy in Coral Springs wanted $500 for 2 tires. I just wanted to say thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I love you guys. I love you guys. I love you guys. Have a wonderful day.
Give Mike at Friendly Tire a call right now. We'll give you a quote right over the phone. 954-977-9445. 954-977-9445. It's time going anywhere else. You will never find prices as low as Friendly Tire in Margate.
The Steve Kane Show is brought to you by Attorney Barry Siegel at the Siegel Law Group. Are you concerned with the distribution of your assets at the time of your passing? Avoid probate. Call the Siegel Law Group with 9 offices throughout South Florida, from Palm Beach Gardens to Coral Gables. Call toll-free 1-855-FLA-3782.
You are listening to South Florida's longest running radio show, The Steve Kane Show. To call the show toll free.
You know, Friendly Tire, hour number 2 has begun. I'm Brian Craig, by the way, Tuesday morning. Friendly Tire have thousands of used tires in stock, starting at just $30 for most sizes, and that's how I first met Friendly Tire and Friendly Mike over there. I had a Jeep Wrangler, which never buy a Jeep Wrangler, ever, never. They're a nuisance. No matter which one it is, they're a nuisance. The top, forget about it. It's a nuisance. But anyway, I had a four-wheel drive Jeep Wrangler, big old tires on it, and I was so excited till I had to buy new tires. Oh my gosh. And I went over to Friendly Tire, and I actually bought used tires. And I went over there, and I didn't know Friendly Mike personally then. This was over 10 years ago. And I said, yeah, I'm here to get tires for my Wranglers. He said, new or used? And I said, used. And I just assumed that I couldn't, really afford the new tires, because new tires, big four-wheel drive tires. The next time I went back, a couple years later, he gave me a price on the new tires. I couldn't believe. They were so low. So I've been, every car in my family is on the road, on tires, from Friendly Tire in Margate. My extended family as well. Give Friendly Mike a call. He'll give you a quote right over the phone. 954-977-9445. 954-977-9445. Online, friendlytire.net. Okay. I'm not into sports at all. I'm really not. I was into football for a little while, but all that taking a knee stuff really put me back. And and when Trump started doing his weekend rallies back in the 2016 campaign, Saturday and Sunday, I stopped watching football, and I never went back. Trump, I'd rather watch those rallies 2, 3, 4 a day than watch football, and I never went back. And this thing with baseball, okay, so they moved the game to Coors Stadium in Colorado, right? From Georgia, over this voter ID thing being racist. Okay? It discriminates against blacks, asking black people for ID because they believe blacks don't have ID, which is so they've moved the game to Colorado, to Coors Stadium. 2 things. 1, a question. At Coors Stadium, I imagine people drink Coors beer quite a bit. I love Coors beer. I don't drink it that much, though. I'm a Michelob guy. But I like Guinness and Michelob. But Michelob I'll usually have if, by the bottle. You got to drink Guinness from the tap. Most places give it to you out of the bottle. That's not a Guinness. But anyway, at Coors Stadium, do you have to provide an ID to show that you are 21 years of age or older to buy a Coors at Coors Stadium and drink it? I'm assuming so. Does that mean that black people can't drink Coors beer at Coors Stadium? Because 1, asking for ID is racist, and 2, they don't have it. Right? How's that work? Can blacks not buy alcohol in Georgia? Can blacks not buy alcohol anywhere because black people don't have ID? Asking for ID is discrimination. That's my first. That's a question. You guys let me know. I know we got a lot of people in Colorado. Do you not have to provide identification to buy beer in Colorado at this game? I don't know. The other thing is this. Somebody has tickets to the game and posted a picture that they put on the Twitter this morning. I saw this all over the place. It'll be trending, I'm sure, if it's not already. Do you know to pick up your tickets for the game at Coors Stadium, you have to provide state-issued photo ID to get your tickets? Well, wait a minute. They moved the whole damn game because this ID thing in Georgia was racist, yet you've got to produce ID in Colorado to pick up your tickets? Does that mean black people can't pick up their tickets for the game? They're shut out. They can't go. What there's nothing but stupidity about this. I mean, it's just dumb. It's just dumb. Everybody has state-issued photo ID. The only people that don't have state-issued photo ID are people that are undocumented, coming across our border, and they don't have ID yet. But they will. So, I don't know. Maybe things are different in Colorado. Maybe you don't have to show ID to buy beer. I think you do. So it must be racist. Now we got to move the game again. Oh my goodness. Where can we move the game where you don't need ID to pick up your tickets and they don't ID you to buy beer at the game? Where can we move a game where they don't work? Nowhere. It's impossible. Unless maybe outside of the country. What's the drinking age in Canada? Our number toll-free, 1-888-GO-KANE-1, 888-465-2631. I don't care where they have the game. I used to go when they had spring training in Fort Lauderdale, at Little Yankee Stadium in Fort Lauderdale. I used to go and see the Yankees, and you could buy tickets for like $10, $6, $12, I don't know. They were really cheap. And I used to go, I'd watch the New York Yankees play, and it was less than $20, including my parking and tickets and drinks, you know. And I went to take my daughter to a spring training game for, is it the Dodgers? Which one's spring train in Jupiter? Whatever team. And I checked the ticket. It was like $80 a ticket for spring training. That's not even the real team. So I don't know. But anyway, I don't know. Just asking these questions. Good morning. You're on the radio.
Hey, this is Sarah.
Oh, Sarah. Oh, Sarah's in Colorado. So let me get this straight, because let me clarify. We got a Colorado resident actually on the line, Sarah. She goes with us on our cruises. Now, this is an interesting thing, Sarah, because they moved the game to Coors Stadium. Is Coors Stadium in Boulder?
No, it's
Denver. Okay, the other city you guys got. Okay, so it tells you what I know about baseball, but I do know about ID. Okay, so they moved the game from Georgia because Georgia is requiring photo ID from black people. They moved it to Colorado because of this discrimination. If I go to Coors Stadium and do you have to be 21 and show proof of age to buy Coors at Coors Stadium, or do they just give beer to everyone with no ID? How's that work?
You have to have an ID that has to say that you're over 20.
State issued ID. Well, wait a minute. According to this story in the media, does that mean that black people, since they don't have ID and requiring of them is racist, does that mean black people can't get beer in Colorado?
An ID. If they don't have an ID.
Well, you guys, I don't know. That sounds like some discrimination going on, because according to CNN, black people, if what they say is true, black people have no ID and cannot get beer at the game that they move. Now, another thing, I saw a guy, he said that they required state-issued photo ID to pick up his tickets to the game at Coors Stadium. Well, does that mean black people can't pick up their tickets?
Yeah.
Gee.
If you don't have the photo ID and you don't have ID, I mean...
No beer and no tickets. Oh, my goodness. No beer, no tickets.
Well, and the voters here in Colorado, the voting here is strict. They want if your signature doesn't match, you don't get a vote, and that
just doesn't make sense. I think you guys got a problem in Colorado, because you're discriminating against black people. You're requiring them to have ID to buy beer. You're requiring them to have ID to pick up their tickets to a baseball game. They got to move the game somewhere else. Is there another place in America where they don't require ID to buy alcohol or to pick up your tickets?
I can't name anywhere, because I know they do it the same as the Broncos.
Yeah.
Same as the Avalanche.
Well, this is a big problem. I guess the entire country, the 21 and over to buy alcohol is discriminatory nationwide against African Americans. We need to get. Is anyone from the NAACP out there? Can you call? What can we do about this injustice about to happen in Boulder, Colorado, at Coors Stadium?
We should call Polis, because Polis, he doesn't think very well, and he's our governor, and he's lame too. And
who's Polis? Is that your governor?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And so he thinks that he brought him over here because it was great, but everybody's pointing out to him that, the voters here is very strict.
This is crazy. This is insane. There's problems going on here. Are there black people in Colorado? There are. Okay, because I was wondering, maybe there are no black people there and they've never encountered this issue of black people and IDing them to buy beer before. In fact, I did see a story though. Let me see. Somebody tweeted this today. The black population of Atlanta, Georgia is 52% black. That's Martin Luther King's hometown. Atlanta, Georgia is 52% black, but that's racist. They moved it to Denver. Do you know what percentage of the population of Denver is black?
I No, but it's pretty good.
No, not really. No, not really. 52% of Atlanta's population is black. Denver, 9%. 9%. Ooh. So yeah. So I don't. There's a lot of problems going on. The liberals, they've got themselves in a pickle here. What a bunch of idiots. How stupid. All right, Sarah from Colorado, thanks for clearing that up. So black people cannot buy beer at Coors Stadium because they don't have ID, and you've got to produce ID to show you're 21 to buy Coors. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. This is the first time Coors has been in the national discussion since Smokey and the Bandit came out. Remember, that was about, I guess back then, I was a kid, you couldn't have beer east of the Mississippi, or was it west of them? I don't know what that story was. And Smokey and the Bandit, but I do like a good Coors Light. Good morning, you're on the radio.
Good morning, Brian. How are you?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
I'm doing just great. I'd like to weigh in on this.
Okay.
I think that this is what needs to happen, especially because now we're setting another new precedent. Where they're going to have to pay higher taxes, where they're just nightmares.
Mm-hmm.
Happen, and that needs to happen across the board for the conservative movement.
Yeah.
Conservatives need to start taking a page from the playbook of the left, which is you band together and then you walk with your money. And once there's enough lost companies, then they might have the epiphany. But until there's not, so when a company inserts itself in politics, I think the red states should just...
Well, you know, the left have really done so much damage to professional football that it can't, I don't think it'll ever recover with all this garbage that Kaepernick did. And now they're moving on to destroy baseball.
Moving on to destroy anything that is American.
Yeah.
The real heart of it is. Anything that kind of came into this country and made this sport super popular and made these athletes celebrity status rock stars, that's American. What's more American than baseball?
I know. And those guys work hard. How many games a year do they play? You know, in football they play like a dozen games, but in baseball they play like 80. I mean, they play every day.
Well, I can tell you, as somebody who worked for a gym that ran the NFL Combine, people don't understand what's involved. There's a reason why these guys, their career ends when they're in their 30s, especially for football players.
Well, it depends on what position they play, but, you know, it's like being in a car accident every day, you know, getting hit.
Well, that people don't understand the training. But these guys are training, like, sometimes 8 to 10 hours a day. It's ruthless.
I know. Yeah.
Just want to say, you know what? If people don't start pushing back on this, they are unseating the fabric of it.
I'm hoping we get to the bottom of this racial discrimination at Coors Stadium requiring ID to buy beer and pick up the tickets. I mean, it seems to me they're setting themselves up to be discriminatory against African Americans who don't have ID, according to CNN and MSNBC. So we got it in Biden, I guess, too.
Well, you know, that's the whole thing of the left, right? Is when you can't get your way, you scream racism. But, you know, that word is starting to become less and less threatening. You know why? Because it's like a kid constantly throwing temper tantrums.
Mm-hmm.
The parents are like, go ahead, like, wear yourself out.
Yeah. All right, appreciate the call. I got to run for a break, but thanks so much for the call. 18 minutes after the hour. I'm Brian Craig. You are listening to The Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show on the radio since 1977. Our number toll-free, 1-888-GO-KANE 1-888-465-2631. We'll be back right after this.
This is Dr. Mitchell Montez of the Biostation West Delray. I'm so happy to be able to now offer the latest and most comprehensive approach to health, wellness, and anti-aging at my new West Delray location. In addition to the hormone therapies you're accustomed to, we can now offer testing for all of your health concerns, including vitamin and nutrient levels, cardiac risk panels, immune system markers, and much, much more. We also offer the full array of aesthetic modalities, including Botox, fillers, lasers, etc., as well as the latest state-of-the-art non-invasive treatments for erectile dysfunction, private IV suites, personal patient advocates, and comprehensive wellness, all in a spectacular new setting. Call me at my new office number, 561-320-8893. That's 561-320-8893 to schedule your appointment today.
Hi, Brian Craig here. You've heard Dr. Mitch Matez and Steve Kane's wife Lori talk about their COVID testing at Any Lab Test Now of Boca and Any Lab Test Now of Coral Springs. I've been tested too. So is Steve Kane and his son Tyler. Today on the radio, Rabbi David called in. He felt that he was getting sick and wanted to get tested for coronavirus. So he went to Any Lab Test Now of Boca.
Go to Rabbi David. Hey, Rabbi.
By the way, you might hear congestion in my voice. I actually had a lot of congestion. I felt a little sick, and of course, I get nervous that, is it COVID or not? My wife also. So guess what we did? I listened to you. I went down to Any Lab Test Now yesterday, and I couldn't believe it. Went right in there. They put a little tiny thing, you didn't even feel it in my finger. Literally 10 minutes later, not a second more, they came back and said, you're fine, negative, great. We went on our way, and we just, not even worried. So
that $69 price is just for Steve Kane Show listeners. You got to mention that, and it's that little finger test. You get it real quick. I'll tell you, anytime somebody has any type of congestion, all of a sudden there's anxiety sets in, not just for them, but everybody around them. It's best just to go in and get the test. Say, I don't have the COVID. You know what I mean? Instead of dealing with all the wonder.
And they give you a piece of paper. But yesterday, I actually walked around with it. When people heard, you don't sound sick, I take out that piece of paper. I said, I was tested right here, and I pick up the piece of paper and showed it to them that says negative. And
Any Lab Test Now of Boca and Coral Springs, they're good people, and we're very lucky to have them.
They're very caring and full of information.
First we had a doctor's recommendation from Dr. Mitch Matez. Now we have a rabbi. Rabbi recommended Any Lab Test Now of Boca, Any Lab Test Now of Coral Springs for your COVID testing. Yeah, that's great. Rabbi recommended.
Any Lab Test Now of Boca and Any Lab Test Now of Coral Springs. Rabbi recommended by Rabbi David for COVID testing. Rapid coronavirus testing, just $69. But you have to mention you heard them on the radio. Any Lab Test Now of Coral Springs is located on the southeast corner of University and Ramblewood near the Coral Square Mall. Their number, 954-906-5983. Any Lab Test Now of Boca is in the Sandalfoot Plaza where the Western Beef is. Their number, 561-237-5009. Make sure you mention you heard them on the radio.
Listen to the Steve Kane Show on iHeartRadio. Just search for WWNN.
All righty, guys. Welcome back. I'm Brian. This is the Steve Kane Show. Back to our phones. Good morning. You're on the radio.
Hey, it's Mike and Boca.
Hey, Mike. What's up?
I don't know whose idea that was to that 60-minute earpiece, but that was so stupid. I mean, anyone can go back to November, maybe even October, and Ron DeSantis and his crew, along with Palm Beach County, Broward, and Dade, they came on TV every morning, every day for at least an hour, and they would tell everyone their game plan. Everyone in Florida already knew what was going to happen.
Yeah.
Spencer out, CBS is the Walgreens, and
excuse me, guys.
There's a public everywhere. You can walk to a public. That's how many public.
Well, CBS was totally exposed yesterday. In fact, even the Democrat mayor and Democrat Palm Beach has defended Governor DeSantis and said the 60 Minutes piece was not true. So Governor DeSantis has been proven right, not just with us because we know, but at the national level.
I can think of much better things to talk about on national television than this trying to put a dark light on this situation where Ron DeSantis and his team have done it.
Well, this is part of the Churn Florida Blue. Ron DeSantis is up for re-election, as is Matt Gaetz, of course, and they're trying to injure Ron DeSantis so that they can get a Democrat in the governor's mansion. And they're trying to turn Florida blue. And it's not going to happen. He's the most competent man to ever be governor anywhere. There's never been a governor, and I'm talking about the entire history of America that I know of, that's been more competent, not he's confident too, but I meant to say competent, in a time of crisis than Governor Ron DeSantis here in Florida. He saved Florida. We've been open since July. I marked the reopening of Florida with the opening day of Walt Disney World, and that was July. I was there. And yeah, that's right. And Florida is the only thing that's not open in Florida's economy right now is the cruising industry, and that's because the feds, and it'll open soon enough. It'll be open soon. All right, Mike, take care. Thanks for the call. I got another question on this blacks not having ID being racist. Blacks don't have ID. They moved the game. They require ID to get the tickets to buy the. I got another question. Since blacks, this is a question for our Democrats, CNN, MSNBC. I'm just asking questions here. I'm not coming to a conclusion. You can answer the questions and help me come to a conclusion. They moved, and Biden supported this. They moved the game to Colorado because they require ID, and Georgia, that's racist against black people. They don't have ID. If black people don't have state-issued ID, should police officers patrolling the streets of America racially profile every black person behind a wheel of a car driving on the highway? Because based on what Biden and the Democrats and Major League Baseball are saying and all the rest, Coca-Cola and all the rest, should we not assume that black people that are on the roads in their cars are unlicensed drivers, or at least a huge percentage of them are, because black people don't have ID? If you don't have state-issued photo ID, how can you be behind the wheel of a car? Oh my goodness. They're opening up a can of worms. I'm just asking the questions, people. I'm just asking the questions. You know what's scary to me is that I used to be a liberal. But I was a liberal. I grew up. I was a kid. Okay? I was a kid. But if blacks don't have ID, hey, you cops out there, start racially profiling. Just assume those are unlicensed drivers of color because blacks don't have state-issued photo ID. All right, now this Derek Chauvin trial, the cop in the George Floyd case. There's been a development that I'll talk about in just a moment. We're not spending too much time talking about this case. Quite frankly, the case is kind of boring. And he doesn't have an exciting legal team and all that stuff. And maybe that's a good thing. Maybe it gets him a fairer trial, that it's not so exciting in public. This trial, okay, let me just read this story, then I'll tell you what I was going to say. Model and BLM activist says this: all hell will break loose if Chauvin not convicted. Buildings will be on fire. Model and Black Lives Matter activist Maya Echols, E-C-H-O-L-S. I've never heard. Is she famous, Model? Let me look her up. It says Model. I mean, does that mean she goes to Barbizon down the street or something, or is she like a real working model? Does she have like an Instagram where she takes selfies of herself? Let's see. She's on Instagram, but I don't know. Is she a professional model? I can't tell by looking at this. There's a lot of photos of her posing. There's in BuzzFeed, I see one. But I don't know. She's pretty. She could be a model, I guess. But I don't know if she's a real model, or, the model is used rather loosely today. But anyway, model and Black Lives Matter activist Maya Echols warned that Minneapolis would suffer riots and vandalism if former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin is not convicted for the death of George Floyd. If George Floyd's murderer is not sentenced, just know that all hell is going to break loose, she said in a now removed video. She said, don't be surprised when buildings are on fire. She made a video of this. The social media influencer, a signed IMG worldwide model, has nearly 500,000 followers on the TikTok. Oh, well. Last summer, riots erupted in numerous cities over alleged racism by police officers against black people. Businesses were destroyed. More than a dozen were killed during the chaos. While some protesters have condemned the violence, some prominent Black Lives Matter activists have publicly excused and supported the destruction of cities. So she said, okay, here's the thing. And I'll see if I'll look at her video. I don't know if I can play it. I haven't played it before. She might use profanity. I don't know. So I can't play it cold. I could, I guess, and hit the dump button, but I'll listen to it during the break and see if it's worthy. The Derek Chauvin trial is I'm not talking about what they've turned it into. That's not racism being allowed. If racism and white supremacy and the cops were racist and allowed to be racist and act upon their racism, as people are alleging, Derek Chauvin would still be a police officer and he wouldn't be on trial. By the way, I don't think he should be terminated from the police until a determination is in the trial is, a verdict is rendered. If he's found guilty, he certainly shouldn't be a police officer. And maybe he is guilty. I don't know. The video doesn't look good, and it's one of the most disturbing videos I've ever seen. I will not watch it again. He was certainly in the wrong. There's no doubt about that. But it's not a racial injustice. Even if he's guilty, it's not a racial injustice. A racial injustice would be if Derek Chauvin killed someone because they were black and he was not punished for it. Even if he's acquitted, he'll never be a cop again and try to go make a living after that. But he'll probably be convicted of something, if not everything, at some point. I don't know, they got a very strange jury. They might get a hung verdict and have to go for a second trial. They might. It's very possible. But there were racial injustices long ago before I was alive, and most of you were, when black men were killed by Democrats, and no charges were ever brought. And if they were brought against them, they would have a jury of Democrat white racists who would acquit them. I was talking to a caller in the first hour that back in the 30s, one of the last lynchings here in this area occurred when the Democrat sheriff at the time lynched a black man named Reuben Stacy. In public. There's photographs of it. Go Google the lynching of Reuben Stacy. You'll see photographs of it. Happened right in Broward County, Fort Lauderdale, Florida. And no trial, no nothing. That's a racial injustice. It's not a racial injustice when the justice system works. Like if I'm killed, murdered by someone who's black or Hispanic or Asian, and different ethnicity, it's not a racial injustice or even an injustice if they're arrested and charged and then a jury decides. The injustice is when a guilty man goes free and is not punished. That's an injustice. So there's no injustice here. Does that make sense to you guys? It should. All right, listen, we'll take our break for the bottom of the hour. If you're on hold, stand by. I'm Brian Craig. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back right after this break.
This is Lori Kane, and I want to tell you about Brighton Dental Care. I just had a
Steve Kane Show.
And I avoided going to the dentist for a lot.
Oh, hey, Barry, we're probably going to be off on Friday. So if you wanted to call in tomorrow to make up for that, it's about 90% sure we'll be off on Friday. It's not 100% yet. But I just want to plan in advance as if we're going to be. All right, hold on.
Dental has Saturday appointments available, and they save me a ton of money, and I will be a patient for life. Don't let cost stop you from taking care of your teeth. Brighton Dental gives Steve Kane listeners incredible discounts on all dental procedures, just like they gave me. Prices are so reasonable, you don't have to worry about the cost. So call Brighton Dental today at 954-922-4633. That's 954-922-4633. You can visit them at brightondental.com and tell them Lori Kane sent you.
The Steve Kane Show is brought to you by attorney Barry Siegel at the Siegel Law Group. Are you concerned with the distribution of your assets at the time of your passing? Avoid probate. Call the Siegel Law Group with 9 offices throughout South Florida, from Palm Beach Gardens to Coral Gables. Call toll-free FLA 3782.
Listen to the Steve Kane Show on iHeartRadio. Just search for WW.
All right, welcome back, everyone. 33 minutes after the hour. I'm Brian. This is the Steve Kane Show, and it's time to check in with Attorney Barry Siegel, who, of course, is in the area of elder law, estate planning, and Medicaid planning. Attorney Barry Siegel, good morning.
Good morning, Brian. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you? And what's going on in the area of elder law today?
Well, elder law and estate planning. What I was going to talk to you about today was the fact that we could name beneficiaries in our estate plan, and it may not, your assets may not go to the people that you had put in your estate plan. For example, you may name your children, and if they're not available, then your grandchildren. And you would think it would go to them. But here's what happens, or what can happen. The assets go to your son or your daughter who happen to be married, and now at some point after the inheritance is received by them, which is held jointly, they divorce. So now your future ex-in-law walks away with half, and your son or daughter keeps half. Or if your son or daughter predeceases your in-law, now it all goes to your in-law, who in turn can remarry. Let's say they die next. Now it goes to the person who replaced your child with that spouse, and now that person gets it. Do you think they're going to leave it to your grandchildren, or are they going to leave it to their own children?
Yeah.
And third, it's just a matter of being able to protect the assets from lawsuits and creditors. So for many reasons, it's important to make sure that you set up a bloodline protection with the bloodline planning that we talk about from time to time on the show. And one of the ways to know whether you have it or not is to come in for a free review, and we'll take a look and tell you what you got to make sure that your family is protected with bloodline.
Now, when you talk about, this is something I haven't heard you mention before, with creditors. So someone passes, things aren't set up properly through you. Where do these creditors come in? Are they the creditors for the person who's passed or the person who's inheriting?
Well, the person who's inheriting. When you own assets in your name, those assets are vulnerable to creditor.
Oh.
When the assets are passed to these beneficiaries in an entity that's not them, it's in an entity, a subtrust, then the creditors can't get to it.
Wow. See what I mean? Every day, Barry brings up something I've not heard him talk about before, and these are the kind of things you don't consider. And I'll tell you a quick story, a very capsulized version of it. Steve Kane, his father was a multimillionaire, married a much younger woman, and did not have a trust. He had like one of those wills. Can you believe? And he passed away at almost 100, left things to his wife, who was in her 40s, and she died just a few months later. And Steve and his sister got zip, and the younger wife's relatives got the entire multi-million-dollar estate of Steve Kane's father. I mean, and this stuff happens, sadly, every day. But it doesn't have to. And if you call Attorney Barry Siegel, he'll protect you so that all these eventualities do not happen. Give him a call, completely free consultation, 855-FLA-3782. 1-855-FLA-3782, and online, SiegelLawGroup.com. All right, Attorney Barry Siegel, we'll talk later in the week. All right, take care. Thanks for calling in today. Some great information there. I'm sure you guys have seen this story of the airline. Spirit Airlines removes Jewish family with special needs child because 2-year-old was eating without a mask on. Anybody think of the god-awful symbolism of removing Jews with a child with a disability from an aircraft because they're not complying with the orders? That was not an attempt at an accent, by the way, even though you might think so. I don't do accents. Oh my goodness. The symbolism of that. Ripping Jews with disabled children, special needs children off of aircraft? Oh my goodness. Shocking new footage shows a Jewish family with a special needs child being removed from a Spirit Airlines flight because their 2-year-old daughter wasn't wearing a mask while eating. Joe Biden must be happy about this one, right? "What did I do?" asked the mother. The flight attendant said, "I told you, if you're not in compliance, you have to get off the flight," said the flight attendant. "What did we do?" the husband asked. "Non-compliance with the mask," the attendant replied. "We're wearing masks," both parents replied. "She's not wearing a mask," said the angry attendant as she pointed to the young girl. And of course, there's shocking video of this. The video reveals the mother is pregnant. They also have a special needs child. And they were all kicked off the flight. Let me tell you something here. I'd be very nervous about flying these days. It seems every day there's some crazy airline story that happens. And you know where the problem is? It's with the flight attendants. Flight attendants are an arrogant bunch. They really are. They're an arrogant bunch, right? And they got a lot of insecurities because, really, what are they? Barely a waitress. I mean, they're like cafeteria workers with great benefits. You know, because they don't make the food. It's not even like a restaurant, right? They just giving you prepackaged stuff. And they have a lot of insecurities because they're servers, they're not the pilot. They're not the co-pilot. They're not a navigator. Anybody can do that job. And, you know, they got a lot of problems. A lot of flight attendants are out of their minds. The problem are not these people with or without masks on their kids or these passengers. It's almost always the flight attendant. The flight attendants are out of control on a power trip. And you know what? You know, you see oftentimes, you know, during this last year, people my whole life, and I know you guys have heard this, how did the Holocaust happen? How did the Holocaust happen? And I don't use this example because this was a Jewish family that was tossed off the plane. But the Holocaust happened because a lot of low-level people forced the public that had a little bit of power, forced the public to do things or else. You know, yesterday I played the audio of the pastor in Canada who kicked the cops out of his church. They tried to shut down his church over Easter, the Easter holiday time, one of the holy days last week. You remember that? I played that audio on the show yesterday, and I put the video up on my YouTube channel, by the way. If you go to my YouTube channel, Brian Craig on YouTube. It's disturbing. And they had a group of police officers and a health inspector using their authority, trying to force Christians not to have church services like they did in the UK. It's happened elsewhere. We've had pastors last year arrested even here in Florida facing charges for having church services. That's how the Holocaust happened. Last Monday, when I went to get my vaccination, there was this security guard who... There were a lot of security guards there because it's at a college campus, but there was this one security guard. These aren't armed security. These aren't cops. You know, this is some guy that just answered an ad on online, and now he's a security guard. And this guy was bossing us around like you wouldn't believe, making sure we were in the line perfectly straight, making us move to the left, making us move to the... I thought he was making us move and comply. I thought he was going to have us do the hokey pokey. He had us moving here, moving there, everywhere. You know, and you could tell you got a low-level guy who's enjoying the power. And I was thinking then, this is how the Holocaust happened. You've got low-level people, sometimes they're health inspectors, sometimes they're police, sometimes they're some minimum wage security guard, sometimes it's an overpaid, over-benefited flight attendant on an airline that have a little bit of power, and they use it, and if you don't comply, you're off the plane. If you don't comply, you're arrested. If you don't comply, you know, there was I put this video too up online. There was a guy at Walt Disney World who refused a temperature check. He was arrested by the sheriff and put in jail. Refused a temperature check. Yeah, that's right. You know, those girls that killed the Uber Eats driver, they just made a deal where they're not going to do time past the age of 21. They killed a man last week in a high-profile case on video and had no remorse. They'll be out They won't be in jail past 21, and their records will probably be expunged, which means they have no record. They get to start from scratch. You know, this is how the Holocaust happened. Low-level people. Remember that video of the health inspector, was it California or Texas, where they were shut down a restaurant, they were caught on the surveillance dancing? I saw one guy in California a couple months back. Health inspector shut down his restaurant. The guy's losing everything. He's got a baby. His head chef has kids. They can't eat. They're cooks and they can't eat. They got a restaurant, they can't eat. And the health inspector doesn't care. The cops don't care. Run them off, give them tickets. They don't care. This is how the Holocaust happened. Now what's going on isn't the same level of problem that they were having back then. I understand that. I'm not making a moral equivalence. But I'm just telling you, you have low-level bureaucrats, low-level workers who have a little bit of power, and if you don't comply, they take you to jail like this guy at Disney, they shut down your business, they throw you and your pregnant wife and your special needs child off a flight. You know, like this security guard that was bossing us around at the vaccination center. I couldn't believe. Because he enjoyed the power. You know, enjoyed the power over people. That's how it happened. And it's scary because who would have thought such things could happen here? But you see it each and every day. These flight attendants on these planes are out of control. The symbolism of removing Jews and with their child that's special needs off an aircraft, my goodness. That airline should give them passes to fly free for the rest of their lives. At least on standby, like the flight attendants get free airfare. Good morning, you're on the radio.
Good morning to you. You're 100% right with flight attendants. But that started out when I was a kid in school, when you got to be a crossing guard with a badge. You started bossing other kids around. This is human nature. I remember even...
Yeah, but it's getting worse. It's getting worse because people they're using the coronavirus to enhance the little bit of authority they have, and they have the backing of the government oftentimes. I mean, they're stopping church services, etc. That's a little different.
Hey, I want to congratulate you on your podcast. I mean, I guess numbers don't lie.
I mean, that's amazing. I know. I told you I know what I'm doing. Podcasting is different than radio. And for a lot of reasons. It took me a long time to figure that out. If people are just wondering, a ranking came out of the top 30 must-listen-to podcast in 2021, came out this month. Number 1 is Michael Savage. Number 2 is Glenn Beck's The Blaze podcast people. And number 3 is me, the Brian Craig Show podcast that I do with my wife. I put it on my Twitter. I was shocked.
I'd like to bring something up that's going to be very controversial, and I hope I can.
Oh, that's the last thing we want in talk radio, is to be controversial.
Yeah, well, this is that Eric Chavez trial, okay?
Chauvin.
Chavez.
If his name was Chavez, he'd be okay, because he'd be a minority. He'd be Hispanic.
I'd like to know when, because why is it that the black people in this country always put dirtbags up as martyrs? And I'd like to know, because he was a dirtbag. He didn't deserve to die, but he was a dirtbag. He put a gun to another black lady's stomach in a house invasion, and he was in prison for 5 years, and the guy was not a choir boy. I'd like to know why they always martyr these dirtbags and model them as their leaders. And the other thing I'd like to know is why...
Levin was number 1. 1 was Levin, Blaze 2, I was 3.
In the 70s and the 80s, when the crack was all over, you know who they blamed when they were being arrested? The white guys were bringing the crack in, and
they used to talk about, we haven't had those in a while, but people would say that the CIA brought crack into the inner cities to control the black population.
They forced them to sell it and get everyone addicted, and they forced them to rob people, and they forced them to shoot people in Chicago every day. Gangs are shooting each other. This is all...
these cases, like I was saying, that Derek Chauvin, that's some of the most, that video to me is as disturbing as those beheading videos with the ISIS when they behead it's that disturbing to me. It's very disturbing. And I won't watch it again. Unfortunately, I've seen it. But it's not a racial injustice. It would be a racial injustice if he wasn't punished, was allowed to be a cop still, and there was no trial. He's being judged. This is how the system works. The system is working. When the system's working.
I don't think it would be a racist thing if he got convicted or got acquitted. I don't think it was a racist thing to start with. I think they made it into a racist thing. Let me tell you something. It's always just like that guy with the knife that they chased around the car and they shot him 7 times. They went and started burning things up and beating up.
Well, liberalism is. I appreciate the call, Richie. I'll tell you. Liberalism is really a deadly thing. And I was watching There's a very good multi-part documentary on Netflix about Ted Bundy. And Ted Bundy targeted young girls, and they said, liberalism is what allowed Ted Bundy to be successful in his sick killing spree. They said during the time when Bundy was killing, like the early 70s, that was the first time that women, because of feminism and women's lib, because of the women's lib movement was so powerful, it was the first time in our society where women would go out unescorted by a man. Liberalism is a very deadly thing, but this Derek Chauvin trial the man has been arrested, thrown off the police force, arrested, and he's on trial by a jury, they say, of his peers, although there's some wacky people on that jury. The system is working. A racial injustice is when somebody does something like that, and there's no one looks into it, and he's allowed to be a cop, and there's no investigation, there's no nothing. That's a racial injustice. The system is working. It's been so long since there's been real racial injustice in this country. I think a lot of people have forgotten what they are. All right, let's take our last break of the second hour. It's 10 before 8. I'm Brian Craig. This is the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show. We'll be right back.
Have you gone without insurance through the Affordable Care Act because you thought you couldn't afford it? The times are changing. I have exciting news to share with you from I Will Advisors. With the signing of the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021, the government has increased the subsidies available to people buying insurance through the marketplace. In fact, even people making over 400% of the federal poverty level can get insurance now and not pay more than 8.5% of their income. There's talk of people currently paying less than $100 per month, and you could possibly pay $0 per month with these new changes. It doesn't cost anything to check, but everyone must take action. The special election period will end, but the sooner you take action, the sooner you can start saving money. Call Dan at I Will Advisors, 954-753-8080, 954-753-8080. Brian Craig here. I've been telling you for years how great MyPillow products are, but don't just take my word for it. This is one of our listeners, Todd. He bought the MyPillow mattress topper, and he called us live on the radio to tell us about his experience with the MyPillow mattress topper.
Yeah, I'm calling to get testimonial about my MyPillow topper.
You ordered the MyPillow, the mattress topper?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Well, I was thinking about buying a new mattress because my old mattress was getting old. So my wife's like, why don't you try that pillow, that mattress top? I went on, I used your promo code Kane. I got a great price. Got it home, and I've been using it for the last 3 nights. It's fantastic.
Oh, that's awesome.
It feels like a whole new mattress.
I talked to other listeners with the MyPillow mattress topper, and they come in all sizes. The mattress companies have turned into con artists. When I was a kid, mattresses were two-sided. You'd have the mattress, then after a while you'd flip it over. Now you can't flip
Beautiful
mattresses
day
anymore.
out.
They don't make them that way anymore because people weren't buying mattresses enough. So the mattress company stopped making two-sided mattresses, and mattresses are expensive. I've had to buy a new mattress, and mattresses can cost well over, just for a regular normal mattress, over $1,000. So that MyPillow mattress topper is a big savings. It saved you from buying a new mattress and turn your whole bed into a MyPillow.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I really love it. I sleep really good.
Well, that's great. Well, I appreciate that. And you guys out there, remember, promo code Kane, K-A-N-E.
Now, when you use the promo code Kane, K-A-N-E, at MyPillow.com, save 30% off your MyPillow mattress topper. And receive 2 free MyPillows. But you've got to use the promo code Kane, K-A-N-E. 30% off the MyPillow mattress topper. Turn your old mattress into a big MyPillow mattress. Promo code Kane, K-A-N-E, at MyPillow.com.
Listen to the Steve Kane Show on iHeartRadio. Just search for WW.
All right, welcome back. 7 before 8. I'm Brian. This is the Steve Kane Radio Show. This story is so absurd. I'm reluctant to even bring it up, but I'm of the opinion that we don't have racial injustice against minorities in this country to speak of anymore. They've evaporated. They talk about systematic racism. It's in the system towards African Americans. I don't. There's a lot of reverse racism going on, but I don't see that. And this story here, I share with you, as absurd as it is, to illustrate the fact that racial injustice in this country against African Americans has been resolved to the point where they're just making crap up now. Okay? This story that I'm going to share with you is not a parody. This is a true story, and it's being reported in many media outlets. Portland, Oregon, land of the nutcases, right? Listen to this. No, this is, I promise you, this is not a joke. This is a true story. Portland Public School Board of Education delayed adopting a high school's new mascot, an evergreen tree. Now, why somebody would have an evergreen tree as a mascot, I don't know, but, Portland Public Schools Board of Education delayed adopting a high school's new mascot, an evergreen tree, after concerns arose from board members that the evergreen tree might have a negative connotation because of its alleged ties to lynching. Trees are now racist, people. I don't know too much about trees. I have a brown thumb, not a green thumb. Everything, I'm not kidding, that I've planted in my yard, I've lived in my house 16 years, has died. Any plant life in my yard was there with the previous owner. Evergreen trees, though, my recollection with evergreen trees is they have very weak branches that may not even be able to hold somebody for a lynching. The branch, you might save a person's life doing it that way, because I think the branch would break on an evergreen tree. But anyway, according to the Portland Tribune, that's the local Portland newspaper, Ida B. Wells Barnett High School, boy, that's a long name for a high school, Ida B. Wells Barnett High School in southwest Portland, was set to vote on the new mascot last Tuesday after a committee deemed their old mascot, the Trojans, controversial. Now, I don't know what's controversial about the Trojans other than that maybe they don't want to have a mascot that's named after a popular brand of condoms. Why are Trojans now offensive? I thought Trojans were fighters, the Trojan warriors, heroes of, I don't know. Steve will be joining us after 6, and he has a classical education. Maybe he can explain this. The committee, which includes students, staff, and community members, proposed the evergreen be the school's new mascot. When it came time to vote, Director Michelle DePass shared a community concern that the evergreen tree could symbolize lynching, and that this suggestion came with a blind spot. She says, "I'm wondering if there was any concern with the imagery here and using a tree as our mascot. I think everyone comes with blind spots, and I think that this might have been a really big blind spot." One committee member, Martin Osborne, who is black, defended the evergreen tree as the high school's new mascot and said it represents a tree of life, not a tree of death. "We did talk about it, but we were looking at the symbolism more as a tree of life than a tree of death," Osborne told the school board. "You could take it either way, depending upon your position." Yeah, if you're a liberal whack job. Trees are now racist, people. That's right. Trees are now racist and insensitive images and must be canceled in our woke society. See what I mean? See what I mean? Systematic racism against African Americans has disappeared, so they're inventing stuff now so that they can be victims. Osborne continued to defend the committee's idea of the evergreen tree and said their decision had nothing to do with the horrible history of lynching in the United States. "Lynching trees typically are not evergreens," added Osborne, who later acknowledged the trees were more commonly used to hang black people in the South were other types of trees. Oh, okay. I think these Democrats that were lynching black people weren't too concerned with the tree or whatever they lynch people with, but, Lynching is a really difficult topic to talk about, and as a sole Black Board member, I invite you, I beg you, I implore you to join me in disrupting the situations, practices that are racist. I can't do this by myself, said the anti-tree person to pass. The school principal told the school board, we take this seriously, and I definitely want to follow that commitment to protect, preserve, and promote the legacy of Ida B. Wells, whoever the hell that is. The focus and opportunity was really to marry this sentiment that we heard from a lot of our stakeholders during our naming process, which was the desire for a local connection. The principal, who later claimed that the evergreen tree is a great choice in capturing a local connection to the school's identity. I guess in Oregon, there's a lot of evergreen trees. When I think of Portland, I think of Antifa, stoners, and trees, right? Because you always see, anytime you see anything I see on TV in Oregon, it's just forests. I guess those are evergreens. I don't know. When they're saying that trees are now racist, you know that they've solved all the racial issues of our society. What a bunch of liberal... This is an example of too much education. Right, this school board member. Too much education. What happens is people go to, you know, in the olden days, people would go to college and study a trade. Right? You know, I don't mean woodworking, but you would learn a skill set for a profession. Now people go to college and they study women's studies, or black studies, or African American studies. And what happens is people go to college and learn how to be brainwashed victims. They become victims where they find sexism and racism and everything. I mean, that's exactly, and this person here, too much education is what that is. All right, it's 8 o'clock in the morning. My name is Brian Craig. This is the Steve Kane Radio Show, Florida's longest running radio show on the radio since 1977. Third and final hour up next. Don't go anywhere.
Got you covered. AM 1470, FM 95.3, 96.9. South Florida's FM Money Talk Radio Network. WWNN, Pompano Beach.
Hi, my name is Tom Laporta, the owner of Laporta Contracting, Roofing and Restoration. We have been in the roofing and construction industry since 1982. We are State of Florida certified roofing and general contractors, focusing on residential and commercial roofing, impact windows, and building restoration. If you have noticed any water stains on your ceiling, or if your roof is older than 15 years, you will want to call us to come out and evaluate your roof. Our services run from minor repairs to complete new roof systems. We install every kind of roof, from regular asphalt shingles, clay or concrete tiles, standing metal seam, wood shakes, and slate tile systems. Hurricane season is right around the corner. This gives us only a short period of time to make sure your roof and home is ready for the 2021 hurricane season. So don't delay and call us at 954-604-4602 for a free home inspection and estimate. Our website is www.laportacontracting.com, where you will find our latest video and live testimonials from a few of our past clients. Our number again is 954-604-4602.
If you suffer with diabetes, did you know there's a 25% chance that you will develop a foot ulcer at some point in your life? And foot ulcers, when you have diabetes, can lead to severe health consequences, up to and including amputation. Now, Medicare recognizes the importance of preventative foot care and has provided coverage for those of you who are at-risk patients. I want to introduce you to...
By the way, you guys out there, you know, most days I make a little short YouTube story on what I'm going to be doing that day. I make, you know what I'm talking about? They come up, the little tiny short videos on YouTube. If you go to my YouTube profile page and you click on the circle picture of my image, it'll show you all of those like in a row until you've watched all of them and caught up. But I do those pretty much every day.
Frankenstein shoes. These are name brand shoes. They're stylish. They'll provide you with the extra width and extra depth to stop diabetic foot problems before they begin. Oftentimes, amputation due to diabetes is preventable, and one of the preventable measures that is most effective is wearing the proper shoes. Call the Sole Authority at 954-597-7060, or online at thesoulauthority.com. That's THESOLE authority.com. Tell them Steve Kane sent you.
The Steve Kane Show is brought to you by Attorney Barry Siegel at the Siegel Law Group. Are you concerned with the distribution of your assets at the time of your passing? Avoid probate. Call the Siegel Law Group with 9 offices throughout South Florida, from Palm Beach Gardens to Coral Gables. Call toll-free 1-855-FLA-3722.
Sorry, guys. I'm like a little dehydrated this morning, and so I'm clear. My throat's dry.
To South Florida's longest running radio show, The Steve Kane Show. To call the show toll free, dial 1-888-COCAINE-1. That's 1-888-COCAINE-1. And now.
All right, third and final hour has begun. My name is Brian Craig. This is the Steve Kane Radio Show, Florida's longest running radio show. Steve Kane, you with us? Now, I don't know, were you listening to the previous segment? Yes. I don't know if you could hear this, and any of you out on the radio, but I don't know if my mic picked this up or not, because my mic is at my mouth, not this particular part of my body, but my stomach has been growling, and I can hear it. I don't know if you guys can hear it over the air. And I'd gotten a message on Twitter. Someone was asking me directions for Wings Plus in Coral Springs, which I gave them, about a mile west of University, south side of Sample Road, Wings Plus. And I started thinking about those wings, and my stomach has been growling for the last 10 or 15 minutes. You know? Oh man! And I can even, I know this is how the mind works, but I can smell those lemon pepper wings right now. I can literally. And let me tell you about Wings Plus real quick here, because Wings Plus. By the way, you want to find a business that is very strong pro police and first responders. You know, those great heroes from the Coral Springs Police Department that rushed to Parkland. They have lunch every day at Wings Plus. And of course, strong supporter of Republicans over there. But I was eating at Wings Plus for many years before they were a sponsor with us. And our old studio was right down the street from Wings Plus, but they opened up like maybe an hour after we'd get out of there. And I'd been telling Steve for a long time, you got to go to Wings Plus one day. And one day we were there late doing some production work. You stopped in for lunch, had wings at Wings Plus, and the next day we were doing spots for them, because they're the best wings you've ever had anywhere. I mean, they don't have wings. I'm a big wings guy. I've had wings everywhere. Nothing comes close to Wings Plus for a couple of things. But everything's homemade right there on the spot at Wings Plus in Coral Springs. The wings are filled with chicken. These other places, they put a lot of breading and things on there to make you think it, but you got like a little nothing. Not at Wings Plus. They are filled with chicken, and plump. And they're flavorful. Now, my favorite always has been the medium hot wings. I've had them from the most mild all the way up to the hottest. And I never had lemon pepper, and you and I were over there one day. You ordered a basket of the lemon pepper wings, and I said, well, let me try one of those. I tried one. I ate your whole basket of wings. They're good. It's good. So a lot of times what I do when I go to Wings Plus, I get the 50-wing platter, and for takeout, I get 25 medium hot and 25 lemon pepper. And they're reheatable at home, by the way. And if you ask them, they'll tell you how to heat them up at home so they taste just as good when you know what I mean, if you want to eat them over the weekend and stuff like that. So listen, Wings Plus, I'll give everyone directions, not just the guy that sent me the DM online. Wings Plus, the Coral Springs location, about 1 mile west of University on the south side of Sample Road in Coral Springs. And make sure you tell Brian, the owner over there, that you heard about them on the Steve Kane Radio Show. Okay, now I uncovered something, Steve. There's a big problem with Major League Baseball. I uncovered something earlier in the show. Well, I uncovered something that we didn't talk about yesterday. I talked about it earlier. I want to get your thoughts on this, because there's a big racial... There are two major racial injustices. What game is this? Is it a playoff game? What is this? I don't follow the baseball. Okay. Okay, yeah. Okay, well, I have found 3 racial injustices against African Americans at the All-Star Major League Baseball game in Colorado. and I'll tell you what they are, and I would like to hear a caller of color respond to this. That's code for black person. Okay, now my understanding is they moved the game from Georgia to Colorado because of this voter ID law, and it's racist that blacks don't have state-issued photo ID. I've uncovered 3 things. One, that's discrimination in Colorado against blacks. This is at Coors Stadium. Do you know, and I had Sarah from Colorado called and verified all this information. If you go to Coors Stadium for this game and you order a Coors beer, you must produce state-issued photo ID to prove you're 21 years of age or older. So apparently black people cannot drink beer at the All-Star game because they require ID. The racial injustice number 1. 2, it's outrageous. 2, now somebody found this on their own and posted a picture online. Somebody that has tickets to the game went and picked up their tickets at the stadium. They had to produce a state-issued photo ID at Coors Stadium to prove that they were their tickets. Black people can't pick up their tickets. Black people. That's right. So black people can't drink. Well, so that I got a third one. Black people at Coors Stadium in Colorado can't drink beer. They don't have ID. Black people can't pick up their tickets. And here's another one, Steve. Black people can't drive to the game because in Colorado, you're required to have a state-issued driver's license. So if you see a black person driving, they're probably on the road illegal because blacks don't have ID. So there's...
What they're suggesting is if you see a black person behind the wheel, you actually catch them driving, that you should make a citizen's arrest.
Yeah, it's racial profile them. They don't have ID. They can't. So I don't know what's... Major League Baseball needs to find another place to move this game again. Blacks can't get their tickets. They can't drink beer, and they can't drive to the game. They don't have ID. This is crazy. What is this world coming to?
Interesting you say that. I experienced, well, I don't know how good it was, but I had a bizarre experience last night. Usually I spend the days watching the news, and Fox News is making some big progress in terms of their political outlet.
They want to get the audience back.
Yeah, they're really getting much more liberal and outspoken. Not just in terms of the people they invite on.
You mean conservative? You mean conservative? You said liberal. Yeah.
Oh, I did.
You said liberal. Scared me.
Anyway, it's because I didn't sleep much last night. I was watching the television, and I don't usually watch overnight. So what I saw came as kind of a shock to me. I always see the scene at the border with the people running around and the poor little kids that are caught up in this thing, and you hear the terrible statistics get worse and worse every day, and it looked like a scene out of the movie Night of the Living Dead. I have never seen it at night. I've only seen it on television during the day. And to watch it at night, it was absolutely horrifying, like right out of a horror movie.
Yeah.
Yesterday we were talking on the air, how is this going to end? And I said, it's going to end badly with some great disaster. The disaster has occurred.
Oh, what happened?
Through it if you are not watching, the news shows at night.
Oh.
When they're shooting the night stuff.
Oh, okay.
It looks so bad during the day. At night, it is terrible.
You're talking about the southern border?
Absolutely terrifying, yes.
Well, what'd you see?
Well, there were mobs of people running hysterically, everything out of control.
No.
I've never seen crowds like this. You couldn't move. It was like if you ever kick over a big anthill and you see the ants scatter and go all over the place. That's what it was like. Only people, of course, are bigger than ants. But it was frightening. It's it's here. You don't see it as much. It doesn't have the same effect during the day if you watch it on television.
Yeah.
If tonight, as it gets into the night hours, take a look on your television and US 1.
One American News. You know, there was a great movie made in the 80s about the southern border crisis and what people are going. And the movie has been disappeared, even though the theme song was a hit song. Cheech Marin's "Born in East L.A." You ever see that movie? It had a great song. Cheech Marin. Oh, really? Well, it first started as the song "I Was Born in East L.A." You know, and then the song was a hit, and they turned it into a movie where Jan Michael Vincent played the Border Patrol guy, and it was a great movie. And I was actually, Cheech Marin was he was a Mexican American born in East L.A., and he got deported to Mexico where he doesn't speak the language, and he had to smuggle through, and it was a good. I was looking for that movie over the weekend online, and I can't find it. It's like they've disappeared. Born in East L.A.
One of the great comedy classics of all time.
Yeah, I know. It was a good movie. All right, anyway, I remember the scene in it. Jan Michael Vincent comes in and says, "Where's your green card, boy?" He said, "Green card? I was born in East L.A., man." You know, and then he... It's a good one.
It's nothing to laugh at. If you take a look at it, it's like a horror movie.
Oh, yeah. Well, it literally is because, Steve, did you see that terrible video of the human smugglers dropping the baby from the top of the 14-foot wall onto the hard ground? I mean, so it is literally a horror movie.
A couple days ago, and it's just out of control. And you can. It was the first time as I watched it. I don't know whether it was because it was under the lights at night or whatever it was.
No water, lots of coffee.
You could tell it was like totally.
Well, okay. Now I'll tell you why you haven't seen it this bad. Well, there's more coming because Biden's telling it to come. But here they're expecting 2 million. But here's the thing though. And I was talking about this last week. I think I told you about this last week. Maybe I didn't. We're seeing more of it because of Trump's wall. They're funneled. The migrants are funneled through the uncompleted portions of the wall. So the people with the cameras just hang out at the uncompleted areas where the people are being funneled through. Before, it could be anywhere along a couple 1,000-mile radius where they came. Now they know where they're coming. So we're seeing more about how bad it is. We're seeing more video because they can catch it more often now, and it's awful.
Terrifying.
Terrifying. And it's turning the public against Biden.
As I watched it, you could just see, you got the sense it was only going to get bigger for me.
Well, Kamala Harris is the border czar, so you must take some comfort in the knowledge of her competence.
Giving that plenty of exposure, too.
Yeah.
I mean, Biden is really, he screwed up everything. Good news. We'll put a little good news in here. You notice the market opened way up today? And charge everybody.
Yeah.
I think they've run out of gas on that. I think they're talking now about the 6, 7, 8 Democrats that are not going to go along with it. They don't have any room to spare. They need, just like we need every Republican, they need every Democrat. And I think last night, the message got sent to our great president, Mr.
No.
His fellow Democrats are not going to play ball with it. And that's why I think the markets look so good.
Yeah.
And today.
So Biden's failure are good for the stock market. If he gets what he wants done, it's bad for yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, that's all you need to know. Listen, we got to take our first break.
If anybody else has a financial take on this, we'd love to.
Yeah.
Sure.
Now we're going to take our. That's correct, and we also want to hear from black people because we've just uncovered something. Black people don't have driver's licenses, according to CNN. They don't have ID. So how if you're black, how are you driving to work right now? How are you driving the kids to school? And there's a lot of school bus drivers that are African American. But what about the black bus drivers, Steve? I see black ladies that are bus drivers, the school buses. They don't have
license. Who knows?
Well, let's find out. So our callers of color, let us know what you do.
I think my son has a driver's license.
Yeah, but he was raised by white people. That's an exemption.
Check with him during the break.
Your white privilege transfers to your son because you're white. He gets exemptions.
Know that.
He benefits from your white privilege. All right, we'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
Brian Craig here. I've been telling you for years how great MyPillow products are, but don't just take my word for it. This is one of our listeners, Todd. He bought the MyPillow mattress topper, and he called us live on the radio to tell us about his experience with the MyPillow mattress topper.
Yeah, I'm calling to get testimonial about my pillow topper.
You ordered the MyPillow, the mattress topper?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Well, I was thinking about buying a new mattress. My old mattress was getting old, so my wife's like, "Why don't you try that pillow, that mattress top?" I went on. I used your
No buffering on my end, Marilyn.
I got a great price. Got it home.
Close out and reopen if you're having a problem.
It's fantastic.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's like a whole new mattress.
I talked to other listeners with the MyPillow mattress topper, and they come in all sizes. The mattress companies have turned into con artists. When I was a kid, mattresses were two-sided. You'd have the mattress, then after a while you'd flip it over. Now you can't flip mattresses anymore. They don't make them that way anymore because people weren't buying mattresses enough. So the mattress company stopped making two-sided mattresses, and mattresses are expensive. I've had to buy a new mattress, and mattresses can cost well over, just for a regular normal mattress, over $1,000. So that MyPillow mattress topper is a big savings. It saves you from buying a new mattress and turn your whole bed into a MyPillow.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I really love it. I sleep really good.
Well, that's great. Well, I appreciate that. You guys out there, remember, promo code KANE, K-A-N-E. Now, when you use the promo code KANE, K-A-N-E, at MyPillow.com, save 30% off your MyPillow mattress topper. And receive 2 free MyPillows. But you got to use the promo code KANE, K-A-N-E. 30% off the MyPillow mattress topper. Turn your old mattress into a big MyPillow mattress. Promo code KANE, K-A-N-E, at MyPillow.com.
Listen to the Steve Kane Show on Radio. Just search for W.
All right, we're back. You want to take any calls, or what do you want to do? All right, let's go.
I'd like to get a reaction from anybody who watches overnight television, watches the news shows, and see if you have had the same reaction I've had. It's like kicking over an anthill. There's just people swarming everywhere. It's first time I realized how out of control.
All right, caller, you're on the radio. What's your name?
All right, Al, how you guys doing?
All right.
Good.
I was wondering if you saw this morning, or I just looked on something on the internet that what's his name, Mike Lindell's
He's been saying it could be next week. Yeah, I know.
Apparently, he posted something like I found it on Newsweek, I guess, and it said that he posted something about it on Parler this morning.
Yeah, he's saying maybe next week. Yeah, and I'm hoping that it's up and running full steam next week. But you know, the media are when Trump and Mike Lindell and Trump each have their own platform that they're unveiling. This was confirmed by Mike Lindell the other day. And he says this is great. He says, you know, their platforms are going to complement one another, not compete, which is good to hear. The media will declare it a failure immediately from the get-go. And you know, the platform, there was a big defeat in the Supreme Court with the social media yesterday, and no one's talking about it because it was a big victory for President Trump. Yeah, because they don't want you to know about it. And you know what? There was a court case that went all the way to the Supreme Court. Trump blocked a couple of people on Twitter who were following him on Twitter when he was on Twitter, and they went to federal court. People block me all the time, you know. But these jokers went to federal court, and a lower court ruled that President Trump could not block people on Twitter. So he had to unblock them. Trump challenged it. It went to the Supreme Court. Not only did the Supreme Court rule in President Trump's favor yesterday, Clarence Thomas was talking. Clarence Thomas doesn't talk very often, but when he does, it's very powerful. He said, since the president is violating the First Amendment rights of people by blocking them from commenting on his Twitter feed, Twitter cannot block and ban people from their platform, they're doing the same thing. So, and he's saying that they should be declared a public utility. And, Greg Kelly on Newsmax, he has a very good analogy. I always give him credit for this one. It's a very good one. He said, could you imagine if Thomas Edison, back in the day, denied light bulbs to people who disagreed with him politically? Or Alexander Graham Bell forbid people that he disagreed with from having telephones? And this is in this Supreme Court ruling yesterday, talking about turning the social media giants into public utilities. That's a huge change yesterday. And it's not being reported because they're trying to stop that dialogue from happening.
There were a whole bunch of things that are up in the court system working their way towards the Supreme Court. We think, because we get most of our coverage from watching Fox, get a lot of US 1 is the only place you get a lot of detailed coverage on that. But there's a bunch of legal surprises awaiting the anti-Trump people.
Oh yeah.
The Supreme Court when it's finally get in front of the Supreme
Now, and this thing with Mike Lindell and Donald Trump's platforms, okay? Twitter and Facebook are much different today than when they first started. So when Mike Lindell and Trump's platforms come, they're not going to be perfect because they're brand new, right? And there's going to be growing pains, and you got to do like a shakedown cruise. It's going to take, and they're going to say, oh, it fails because of this or that. They're going to compare the new platforms to these ones that have been around for years and worked out all their kinks. They're going to anything Trump and Mike Lindell do, they'll declare. But I'll tell you this about Mike Lindell. He's lost $65 million this year from these retailers shutting him out. That's crazy. And he's pouring an unknown number of millions and millions into this platform. Putting this platform together, Steve, this is major. I mean, this is like building the Golden Gate Bridge of expenses. I mean, it's costing hundreds of millions. And over the course of years, hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. And that's why I keep telling people, go to mypillow.com, use the promo code Kane, buy those mattress toppers, buy anything you can there. You're helping Mike Lindell not just defend Trump, but get this free speech platform out there.
Yeah, hopefully you'll have people behind it too. We're not to know who they are, but because it costs a lot of money to.
I don't know, but I know Mike Lindell. He understands what happens when you start to get a big committee of people. I mean, look what happened in Parler. Parler, they had a bunch of Dan Bongino's social media platform. They had a bunch of infighting over there. I think Mike Lindell will probably keep control of this pretty tight to himself because that's the way to make it work.
Social media. I don't agree with silencing or anything like that, but like for example with Trump or even me, I was suspended on Twitter and I created a new account. Like, do you think there's a certain time where somebody should get suspended? I don't think the reason I got suspended or even with Trump.
Well, if you're doing something illegal, obviously, I don't have to make a list. You guys can figure that out. But, if somebody is, freebasing or something, you know what I mean. If you're doing something illegal, that shouldn't be allowed on the platform. And we have limitations on language on radio. That's why we're on a delay,
I think you mentioned a while back, and I'm not strongly, I guess it's a matter of opinion, and maybe I have to come out with a thinking, but I responded to somebody on Twitter about something, like somebody in New York, for example, ran over somebody, a kid in the streets. And I don't want to go through the whole story, but anyway, I mentioned about maybe he shouldn't live.
Well, that's, you got to watch, I wouldn't even want that on the air. I wouldn't, that's, here's the thing. Here's the thing, okay? There's something, Mike Lindell and Donald Trump are doing something that in a way that people haven't thought about. The reason that there's so much, I've never heard of liberals being banned from these platforms over their political views. It seems to always be conservatives. If there's been high-profile liberals, let me know. But the reason that happens is because these big tech giants are all of the same liberal mindset. And they think that conservatives are Klansmen. That's the reality. That's what happens. Not everybody that's a tech genius is a liberal. And Mike Lindell and Donald Trump are going to open up a whole new avenue for conservative tech geniuses who are keeping their mouths shut in Silicon Valley to have a place to go work. And you're going to find, there's a lot of conservative people in the tech industry. And Mike Lindell is leading a big change in the mindset of people in the tech industry. You don't have to be a liberal just because you're a geek.
It shouldn't even be that way. Like when you're having a social media site, like when they launch their site, he's not coming.
Let me tell you how liberals are, Steve. There's thanks for the call, by the way. There's these a couple of guys that are writers on a big sitcom on ABC News. I mean, not ABC News, on ABC Television. They're writers on a sitcom on ABC Television, and they do a podcast on Star Trek, and I listened to it. And I commented something online, and then they found out that, that I'm a conservative talk guy, and they're telling me that conservatives can't watch Star Trek. I mean, liberals are really intolerant. I mean, it sounds stupid, but that's how these people Gene Roddenberry's vision was for the future was a colorblind future where there was no, and all this stuff, and conservatives, Star Trek's liberal, you can't watch Star Trek. A conservative can't enjoy Star Trek because, it sounds stupid. Liberals control the entertainment industry, they control the tech, but you're going to find there are a lot of conservative-minded people. The people that Mike Lindell are hiring are probably conservative. Because if you're a tech guy, once you go to work on Mike Lindell's social media network, you're out of the closet with your Silicon Valley people. So Mike Lindell's platform is going to become a place where conservative tech geniuses unite. And this is a whole revolution in the entire online world. And it's going to lead to free speech for everyone that we've never seen before. I don't think people realize it. Because conservatives keep their mouth shut that work at Facebook. There's conservatives at Facebook. They just keep their mouth shut because they're going to be canceled. And you'll find, just like in schools, most school teachers are not liberal, but conservative school teachers keep their mouths shut because the union steward will shut them down. You know what I mean? It's the same thing in the tech industry. So Mike Lindell is leading a revolution with his platform. All right, let's take our break for the bottom of the hour. It's 8:30 in the morning. I'm Brian Craig. Steve Kane is here. Our number toll-free, 1-888-GO-KANE, 1-888-465-2631. We'll be right back.
Hi, my name is Tom Laporta, the owner of Laporta Contracting, Roofing, and Restoration. We have been in the roofing and construction industry since 1982. We are State of Florida certified roofing and general contractors, focusing on residential and commercial roofing, impact windows, and building restoration. If you have noticed any water stains on your ceiling, or if your roof is older than 15 years, you will want to call us to come out and evaluate your roof. Our services run from minor repairs to complete new roof systems. We install every kind of roof, from regular asphalt shingles, clay or concrete tiles, standing metal seam, wood shakes, and slate tile systems. Hurricane season is right around the corner. This gives us only a short period of time to make sure your roof and home is ready for the 2021 hurricane season. So don't delay and call us at 954-604-4602 for a free home inspection and estimate. Our website is www.laportacontracting.com, where you will find our latest video and live testimonials from a few of our past clients. Our number again is 954-604-4602.
Brian Craig here. I've been telling you for years how great MyPillow products are. But don't just take my word for it. This is one of our listeners, Todd. He bought the MyPillow mattress topper, and he called us live on the radio to tell us about his experience with the MyPillow mattress topper.
Yeah, I'm calling you testimonial about my MyPillow topper.
You ordered the MyPillow, the mattress topper?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Well, I was thinking about buying a new mattress. My old mattress was getting old, so my wife's like, why don't you try that pillow, that mattress top? I went on, I used your promo code Kane. I got a great price. Got it home, and I've been using it for the last 3 nights. It's fantastic.
Oh, that's awesome.
It feels like a whole new mattress.
I talked to other listeners with the MyPillow mattress topper, and they come in all sizes. The mattress companies have turned into con artists. When I was a kid, mattresses were two-sided. You'd have the mattress, then after a while you'd flip it over. Now you can't flip mattresses anymore. They don't make them that way anymore because people weren't buying mattresses enough. So the mattress companies stopped making two-sided mattresses. And mattresses are expensive. I've had to buy a new mattress, and mattresses can cost well over, just for a regular normal mattress, over $1,000. So that MyPillow mattress topper is a big savings. It saves you from buying a new mattress and turn your whole bed into a MyPillow.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I really love it. It's really, really good.
Well, that's great. Well, I appreciate that. You guys out there, remember, promo code KANE, K-A-N-E. And when you use the promo code KANE, K-A-N-E, at MyPillow.com, save 30% off your MyPillow mattress topper. And receive 2 free MyPillows. But you got to use the promo code KANE, K-A-N-E. 30% off the MyPillow mattress topper. Turn your old mattress into a big MyPillow mattress. Promo code KANE, K-A-N-E, at MyPillow.com.
Oh, my goodness.
At the Siegel Law Group. Are you concerned with the distribution of your assets at the time of your passing? Avoid probate. Call the Siegel Law Group with 9 offices throughout South Florida, from Palm Beach Gardens to Coral Gables. Call toll-free 1-855-FM.
All right, we're back. I'm Brian, Steve Kane here. Yeah.
Did you mention that surprise?
No. Oh, yes. I almost forgot. I'm glad you reminded me. Should we announce it? Yeah, let's announce it yes. Yeah, okay. Steve's having more than a roof done. He's having a major construction. You're going to have basically a new house because 40% of your drywalls are being replaced. You're going to have to hang up some new pictures and stuff. Okay, Tom Laporta. This is amazing. Tom Laporta over at Laporta Contracting. I was talking to him the other day. He told us about this, which is absolutely amazing. How would you like to have the same roof on your home that President Trump sleeps under with the First Lady at Mar-a-Lago? That's absolutely amazing. You can. He actually has access to the same roof tiles that are on the roof at Mar-a-Lago. You can turn your roof into a Trump roof. Can you imagine having your friends over and saying, "That's a Trump roof right there"? Oh yeah, it is. It is. I mean, think about it. You'll be sleeping under the same roof that President Trump and First Lady Melania Trump sleep under every night at Mar-a-Lago. Call Tom Laporta. Talk to him about this. I know, it's amazing, isn't it? Turn your roof into a Trump roof. Now, Tom Laporta, obviously, he's a Trump guy. He's a good guy. This number rings right to his cell phone, 954-604-4602, 954-604-4602, and yeah, and LaportaContracting.com online. And I know, it's amazing. Turn your roof into a Trump roof. Think about the bragging rights on that one. That's amazing. Is it absolutely amazing? And I've been up to Mar-a-Lago. It's a beautiful roof. It really is. All right, our number, toll-free, 1-888-GO-KANE-1. I was just thinking about this. There's more discrimination against African Americans, Steve, moving this game to Colorado. Do you know that, first off, there's not going to be any black people at this game? We were talking earlier, since blacks don't have ID, they can't drive to the game. Well, I don't know. Well, they can't drive to the game, so black people can't drive there. And also,
black players.
Yeah. Well, black people also cannot fly to the game because state-issued photo ID is required to board any commercial aircraft. They can't get their tickets. They can't buy beer. They can't drive. They can't fly. Major League Baseball is really discriminating against African Americans. Now, the black teammates can. They fly on a private plane. No ID required. No ID required. If you're African American with a private plane, you can fly. But
more progressive, I like.
But if you don't have a private plane and you're black, you can't board an aircraft. You can't fly to the game. You can't drive to the game. You can't pick up your tickets, and you can't get a beer. No. Major League Baseball, you need to get woke. This is outrageous. Are there any?
Boycott baseball. I was so disgusted with that story broke yesterday.
I really need someone from the NAACP to get on this, Major League Baseball. They got all kinds of problems there. All right. Good morning. You're on the radio.
Yes.
Yeah,
I was just wondering, you're talking about Mike Lindell.
Mm-hmm.
So, which I'm tickled to death. I love Mike Lindell. I love President Trump and everything, but we can have. I read a lot of social media and everything. So, what I was wondering is your thoughts on, like, if we can talk and talk and talk, but if we don't.
Oh my God! Yeah, well they did, but not that kind of action. Oh yeah, usually, but that's right. That's right. But you got to use the promo code Kane, Kane, at mypillow.com. And that last caller that I cut off, you guys can figure out where he's going. I want to caution you people out there, okay, that are conservative. There are a bunch of liberals out there. They tend to have southern accents because they think everybody that's conservative is right now we're going to do all this, how you all, they have the hee-haw accent going on. And what they try to do is take you in conversations with you in the places that get people in trouble. And they typically have southern accents because they're faking it, okay? Yeah, I'll tell you after the show what he was saying. I had to dump out of that, and well, that's what they do, but I've got a clever ear and a fast finger on the dump, and I'll tell you after the show. Not as fast as Joe Biden in the halls of the Senate with Tara Reid, I must say. But... Matt Gaetz has been just totally cleared. Have you seen what's going on with Matt Gaetz?
See where he's been clear. I hear where he's getting up and saying, I didn't do it, but that's usually...
Well, last night, one of the guys that was, the guy about the extortion racket, the partner of the guy running the extortion racket came on and confirmed that they were trying to get $25 million from Matt Gaetz to free this Iranian hostage, of course. It was to free this Iranian hostage, I guess. And, $25 million, I read, is his father's entire net worth is $25 million. And that's what they were asking for. So there's a confirmation of that. And Matt Gaetz wrote an op-ed. I read it earlier in the show, in the first hour. I won't read it. Yeah. And he says, where's this girl, this fictitious girl? Where's she at? Bring her forward. She hasn't come out yet. And that's because the girl is 19 or 20 years old by now, by their math, if there is such a girl. Where is she?
Details of the age and stuff like that, but basically when you start telling everybody that it's not against the law to go to bed with young women... He
didn't say that. He said, he said, as an adult, I never slept with a 17-year-old woman. When he was 17, he did.
The story is true, except for the age, which is, of course, a big thing.
Well, the age is important. Yes, he is not a virgin. Matt Gaetz is not a virgin. He has had sex outside of the bounds of marriage because he's never been married with adults. Except when he was a teenager, he had sex with other teenagers, he says. I trust Matt Gaetz.
Knowing how your opposition is, but you want somebody that's got good judgment. He ought to know they're gunning for him. I mean...
Well, what bad judgment has he used?
Well,
he's a single man.
The story is true, but to the age.
That he's had sex with women. Is that a crime? I know they're trying to outlaw heterosexuality.
I don't want to say more than that because I don't have anything specific. But I definitely had the feeling listening to Matt Gaetz that he knows his way around the bedroom.
Well, yeah, he's single, rich, and famous. He's done no crime. I don't know how sexually active he was as a teenager. When he was younger, he was overweight. So I don't know how active. Well, I guess he was still rich. That might have helped. But I don't know how active he was then. But he said he has never had sex with an underage person, and he's never paid for sex. He's not had sex with an underage person since he's been an adult, I guess. So, but if you're underage and they're underage, that's not a crime, right? If he would, okay.
I want to go over it.
Yeah, he's in the. This Steve, this story broke a week ago tomorrow, and we're a week into this. Nothing's come out. No woman's come out. No person. No. They say that he was paying hookers with Apple Pay. Nothing.
Opposition's going to need more verification than they've released so far.
I mean, Cuomo's got like 10 women coming out.
Cuomo.
Yeah. Well, they've got nothing against Matt Gaetz. He's a squeaky clean Marine thus far. He's just a single rich guy who's famous and rich. He's a player. He said he's not a monk. He says he's not a monk. That's right. All right, listen, we'll take our last break of the day. When we come back, it'll be time for the Gold Report. Don't go anywhere. I'm Brian. Steve is here. Our number toll-free, 1-888-GO-CANE-1. 888-465-2631. We'll be right back.
Paying an outrageous fortune for your tires. Go easy on your budget and buy your tires at Friendly Tire in Margate, where they have all the major brands like Goodyear and Firestone at discount prices that absolutely can't be beat. Steve Kane's tires for his Toyota van at the other shops, $175 a tire. At Friendly Tire, just $75 a tire. That's a $100 savings per tire. Tires for my daughter Emily's car, $135 at the shops around town. The price at Friendly Tire, only $65. That's a $70 savings per tire. These prices are out the door and on the road. Free mounting and balancing and no added charges. Friendly Tire have a great selection of good used tires too, starting at just $30 for most cars. Call my good buddy Friendly Mike at Friendly Tire. Tell him what you drive and he'll give you a great low price right over the phone at 954-977-9445. 954-977-9445. Online, tire.net.
This is Dr. Mitchell Matthews of the BioStation West Delray. Have you tried to effectively lose weight but failed? Have you worked your tail off trying to build muscle with no result? At the BioStation West Delray, we offer all of the latest treatment modalities, including growth factor and peptide therapies to help promote weight loss, muscle recovery, support cognitive function, improve libido, and more. If you want to get to the root cause of the problem, our medical team will do their job. Call the BioStation West Delray at 561-320-8893. That's 561-320-8893.
Listen to the Steve Kane Show on iHeartRadio. Just search for WWNN.
All right, it is that time that we look forward to each day on the Steve Kane Show, the Gold Report. Brought to you by William Youngerman of William Youngerman Inc. William, one of the world's leading experts on the precious metals. He's been advising clients on trends and movements in the gold market over 50 years. Believe you me, he knows his stuff. And in fact, if you've been following him over the 50 years, he's been advising clients, and 17 years he's been advising Steve Kane listeners. So go over, he'll explain everything to you. William, how's it looking this morning?
Looking good, Steve. The markets continue to hold nicely above the silver around the $25 number, gold around over $1,700 an ounce as they continue to consolidate. The gold closed yesterday just down $2.30 at $1,728.50. Silver closed down 7 cents at $24.85 the ounce, while platinum was down $2 at $1,204, and palladium was down $11 at $2,575 the ounce. The market's higher this morning with gold getting up to $1,740 at one point. Right now, we're up $9 at $1,737.50 the ounce on gold. Silver up 15 cents at $25 the ounce, while platinum is up $11 at $1,215, and palladium is up $29 at $2,604. So the market's very stable, holding very nice in these ranges. Resistance for gold still is up around that $1,750 number. Silver is just pretty much staying around the $25 number, dipping just a little bit below that yesterday. Good strong buying coming in at $25. The Bitcoin is just under 59,000, and the markets seem to be very stable as of now. So take advantage.
Now, William Youngerman, you were talking a little bit yesterday about, people can come in and turn things they have made of the metals into cash, or maybe even a coin or something like that. What are some of the items that people bring into you that you appraise and they walk away with cash for? What are some of the items?
We get people bringing in chains, gold chains, earrings, bracelets, things that they don't wear anymore or that have been damped. We buy just about anything in watches. And of course, we have nice estate jewelry for sale also.
Yeah.
Anything for Steve Kane listeners is certainly a free appraisal with the cash if you decide to sell it.
I hear from a lot of listeners who come over there and take a look at your estate jewelry, and they are blown away at the great deals that they get on the jewelry items that you carry. Listen, William Youngerman is open weekdays at 10 a.m. You can give them a call at 1-800-327-5010, 1-800-327-5010, online, WilliamYoungerman.com. And they're located right here in Boca Raton at 150 East Palmetto Park Road, which is on the first floor of the Bank of America building, just east of Federal Highway US 1 on the south side of Palmetto Park Road. All right, William Youngerman, we'll talk tomorrow.
Okay, have a great day.
All right, take care. Steve, all this talk about the baseball game, they're trying to help blacks by moving it. One of the big impacts with moving the game is a lot of these businesses in Atlanta were really kind of counting on it. They were, and this is an interesting thing. Okay, I saw this today. Atlanta versus Colorado. The population in Georgia is 52% black, only 9% in Colorado. That means the majority of businesses, the local small businesses in Georgia and Atlanta that are impacted by this are owned by African Americans. And I bet you a lot of these businesses, in particular, a lot of the sports, like Wings Plus is a place where you go to watch all the games. I bet a lot of these sports bars have laid out money for special things for the game. You know what I mean? And it's all gone. Oh.
Well, it's the same story all the time. Remember, with liberals, they don't know. They're bad on boundaries. They don't understand when enough is enough, and therefore they always push to extremes, and things backfire and kick them in the face. This is a good example of that.
Yeah.
What's going on with this thing? Because they ended up splitting the black community, and they made obvious that the president didn't read the bill before he...
Yeah.
Biden looked so stupid in the last few days, and it's just building.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, Donald Trump.
Yeah. Well, you know what a part of this is in Atlanta? I've spent a lot of time in Georgia and Atlanta. I've always had friends there my whole life, and Georgia, Atlanta in particular, is majority black, and 52% I think is that may be all of Georgia. Atlanta is by far a majority minority city, and the black population and throughout Georgia and Atlanta in particular is much different than the black dominated areas around the country. My experience in Georgia, you've got Southern charm, you don't have militancy. And what I've noticed, Stacey Abrams has dedicated her life to turn the polite black people of Georgia into militant blacks. And a lot of this has to do with that. They're trying to turn, and I think most people will tell you, when you deal with African Americans in Georgia in particular, unlike anywhere else in the country, it's a whole nother culture of, because people are used to like Black Lives Matter militancy, you know, like up in Milwaukee or something. You know what I mean? You guys know what I mean. And they're trying to turn the polite, normal black population of Georgia into Black Panther 1968 militants. And yeah, well, I don't know. You know, I mean, there's, you know, I know we have some people that probably have some experience in Georgia. We border Georgia and Florida, and Atlanta in particular. Everybody goes to Atlanta at some point, and it's a big difference, Steve. It's a big difference in tone. There's not that victim hood thing, and I guess that's. But the black businesses in Atlanta have to be really hit hard by this. Well, you know, the reason I pointed out well, think about the restaurants and sports bars, because you know, Wings Plus in Coral Springs, people go there for all the games, no matter what it's for, right? Football, basketball, baseball. People go there. The great TVs there. Sports bars in Atlanta would be overloaded with people and tourists for the game. And we've come out of this year of lockdown. They've laid out money probably for decor. They've probably maybe even updated the look of the place. They don't have money to do this. They were shut down for a year. And you've got restaurants and sports bars and other businesses in the Atlanta area that have been shut down for a year that are laying out money that they may not have to expand for the tourists coming in for the All-Star game, and then they take the game away at the last minute. It's devastating to all businesses in Georgia. But Democrats don't care about they just care about getting a news cycle that they did something against racial injustice. They don't care about all these poor people that are losing everything.
And now, because you know they're going to hear from them.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, it's terrible what's going on. It really is. And there's these questions.
Where it gets better.
Well, because they're trying to anger the black community of this country up into racial division, thinking they'll come back home to the Democrat Party. And because Trump took so many blacks away from the Democrats, that's what this is all about. It really is. Yeah. And this coverage of the Derek Chauvin trial, if they were getting a verdict that they thought would further it'd be getting more publicity. The coverage of the Derek Chauvin trial is a little light because I don't think they expect to get a guilty. There's not that much. I don't see very much coverage of it at all. They
usually spend the afternoon on Fox
analyzing it. Yeah, but I'm talking about the liberal media, because I'm talking about like CNN and MSNBC. They're not dealing with it that much because things that are coming out are not what they want to hear. You know what I mean? It doesn't fit the narrative.
It's going to end. There are scenarios here that could
acquittal.
Comfortable.
Yeah, that's right.
They don't want to.
Mm-hmm. Well, on the line, we have Richard Pearl, Richard Pearl on Politics, follows the Steve Kane Show every weekday at 9. Hey, Richard Pearl.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
We've got a lot to talk about. Good morning to both of you. We've got a lot to talk about today. One of the things we'll get into a little bit, not so much, because I covered it a lot yesterday, was Major League Baseball, although they are moving to Denver, Colorado, where they have voter ID, for one thing. And I don't know who pointed it out to me, but it's kind of obvious if you think about it.
Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! That's talk about Wow, you're onto something with that one. You're the first person I've heard say that.
Well, thank you for that.
Oh my! Yeah, well, I'll be using it in the future.
Interesting. Major League Baseball is BLM spelled back.
Oh my goodness! See, that's why you got to listen to Richard Pearl on Politics. He thinks of things that even Steve and I don't see. Who would have seen that? Wow.
There are moments where I
keep them rare. Keep them rare.
But anyway, so I wanted to also bring up one other thing. Yesterday I mentioned our Cheerioside, and a lot of people contacted me and bought the product. It's phenomenal. I mean, people who have any kind of artery issues, they should consider it. But there's another product that everyone should use. It's called Respirin. And it used to have a better name. And it was we used it with the runners in one runner in Houston.
2 p.m. Eastern, Trump's going to be on Newsmax TV. Don't miss it. Trump, 2 p.m. Newsmax.
He had the fastest time in 10 years. It was the fastest time he ever had. And the only guy who beat him was in the Beijing Olympics the summer before, and then won the Boston Marathon. And it's a product that expands the lung. And it's remarkable in that it does such a fast job of it. And when we used airflow meters to test these athletes that are at their best,
Wow. Well, the time is short, Richard Pearl. So what's the product that you have at Simply Natural, real quick? Okay. You hear that? Okay, now listen, we're gonna get cut off here at the top. So call Richard Pearl. His store is open 7 days a week, 11 to 9, 954-741-4045, and located in the city of Sunrise, just north of Sunset Strip on the east side of University. And don't touch that dial. Richard's up next. All right, we're out of time, Steve. So you're gonna take care. Have a great show, Richard Pearl. You got just enough time to sign us off quickly.
We will be back on behalf of my son,
This is not quick.
Tyler Kane, who is the technical director here. Brian, of course, you know my left and right hand, and I am yours truly, Steve Kane, till tomorrow, 6 a.m. God bless America.
We've got you covered. AM 1470, FM 95.3, 96.9. South Florida's FM Money Talk Radio Network. WWNN, Pompano Beach.
All right. Yeah, guy. Yeah, so Trump's going to be on Newsmax at 2 p.m. Heather Childress is going to interview him. And that's interesting because doesn't she do the show with that creep Bello, that Bello guy that was disrespectful to Mike Lindell? So I guess he's not doing that interview. I just saw it on her Twitter. Yeah, 2 p.m. Newsmax. And have you guys noticed Trump has kind of rebranded himself to the 45th President of the United States? That's what they always call him. That's how he wants to be referred to, as the 45th President of the United States. It's like, kind of like a rebrand he's doing. Yeah, 2 p.m. Eastern Time, President Trump, Newsmax. Now listen, everyone, make sure you like the video. Like the video. Those likes, everybody talks about the mysterious YouTube algorithm. The likes help a lot. They really do. Like all my videos. Those likes help tremendously. Okay? They really do. And if you don't mind, if you could share the video on at least one of your social media platforms, that helps too. But the most important thing you can do, subscribe and like. Subscribe and like. And if you already subscribed, like. Okay? That's like the most important part. And what that like does is recommends my content to other like-minded people that think like we do, okay, on the issues. It pops up in their feed as a recommended video because you guys like my video. So that really helps me out a lot, and I appreciate that. All right, guys, take care. I'll see you later.